you get to that third life cycle, it's late cycle. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the planning board meeting of April 23rd, 2014. Tonight we have Rob Hoover, Bob Watts, Tilly Evangelista, myself, I'm Harry Locatilia. This is Howard Snyder, our town planner, and Wendy Beaumont is the administrative assistant. And without any further ado, seeing that it is 7:04, we're going to open the meeting of the planning board. And first thing would be the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the minutes of April 9th as written, pending discussion.
April 9th minutes, 2014. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Tilly. And discussion. Everybody happy with them?
Happy as a clam.
Real good, real
Are
good.
you as happy as a clam?
Yep.
I'll say it, Harry.
Boom. All in favor of approving the minutes with changes made, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries unanimously. And correspondence, Howard, if you would, please.
We received 8 items of correspondence that are of importance for the board. We received 3 in regards to the Chaplain Hills OSRD application, which will have first public hearing tonight. We received 4 items that can be brought up with the Turning Leaf public hearing that's been continued to tonight.
And there's something from the town of Newbury?
In town of Newbury, that's just a notice that they're amending. They had a moratorium on their registered marijuana dispensary bylaw. They're replacing it with a new bylaw.
Cool. Okay. That handles correspondence. Let's take a peek at the vouchers, if we will.
We
And,
received 2 invoices for the technical review engineers' work on reviewing the subdivision for Jefferson Court and the subdivision application for Turning Leaf. The third voucher is the town planner's reimbursement for travel and expenses for the first quarter of 2014, and some for the planning office for some general office supplies.
So does somebody want to give me a motion to pay the vouchers totaling $1,990.56?
I so move.
Bob moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tilly. Any questions about the vouchers?
Nope.
They look good to me.
Everything looks fine. Will we get a 19 gig thumb drive? Get a new thumb
Needed a
drive?
new memory stick, some staples, and
Staples! You're
some
spending.
batteries,
And a stapler.
and a stapler.
A fancy
It's a nice stapler. All in favor of approving the bills for, the vouchers for $1,990.56, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries
Tilly, here we go.
unanimously. Can start signing, Tilly? Done. I will now bring up the issue of Jefferson Court. That's old business, not new business. That's a misprint. That's
It's
old
under
business.
new business as the public hearing was closed at the last meeting of the planning board. I have issued, well, first we received a Form H. We're required to have an extension of time so the planning board can continue their efforts on the decision.
I'll accept the motion to allow the applicant to extend the time for decision.
So moved.
Second.
So, motion by Tilly. Seconded by Bob. All in favor? Great
Aye.
extension. Aye.
I issued
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And that's a Form H, right?
Yep.
Howard?
Yes.
Great. Is that now signed, or did you already handle the paperwork? Okay, great.
Tilly
Can we
signed it.
sign it off for now? When's that put us out to? June 30th, great.
June 30th,
Great.
that's good, yeah.
I sent out by email.
Won't need that many, that long.
I
Will
understand.
not need that long.
I understand.
We do it by quarters, so that it doesn't get messed up. You won't need that long.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
appreciate it. Makes a lot of problems go away. Howard, where are we with the decision you sent out, just for everybody?
I sent out a draft to everybody for the board for review, so they can make comments at tonight's meeting. I received a couple comments back, usually more of typos and things like that. I received from the engineer the latest revision date, so that's been corrected. The latest revisions are to April 15th. For discussion tonight, though, I wanted to look into a couple of items that were in the decision, pending planning board members' comments as well, about some of the items I held in here for requirements of a covenant. I don't believe that was addressed at the last meeting. And I wanted just to review special conditions to make sure everybody was in agreement about those. Because they now do include language regarding the maintenance agreement that was presented by the applicant at the last meeting.
With the corrections made, right? That maintenance agreement had the correction made about the.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Did you give us a copy of that? Or just from the computer that you sent us, like you're reading?
I sent it out by email,
Yeah,
right?
no printout though.
No.
Okay.
Um,
Because I had some things I didn't put in, send back to you, and basically, you know, from memory, I thought that, the important issue to me was the, neighboring properties shall not be adversely affected by excessive runoff. Based on our erosion control bylaw 36541, that was, to me, really critical. Did you put that in
is that at
someplace?
the end, into the special conditions?
I put it in under special conditions, item D.
How did you phrase it?
Shown on the definitive subdivision plan are vegetated shallow detention basins. The required functionality of these basins includes the post-development capture of runoff from bordering property in the same manner that occurred pre-development during heavy events of precipitation and/or snow melt. Maintenance of these basins shall be the responsibility of the property owner upon which the basins are located, with associated costs to be borne by said property owner. All vegetated shallow detention basins shall be maintained in functional operation and never filled, abandoned, or otherwise modified in a way as to no longer operate and perform the functions intended with their design and placement.
That good for you?
I guess mine is very abridged.
Okay.
You know, I got to the meat.
Well, that includes a request of Tim Howard, the second sentence, is the why.
And the next thing, probably you hit upon it there, I saw a little bit of it. The next thing I thought it should have been added was, landscaped areas shall be properly maintained. Shrubs of trees which die within the first year shall be replaced with the new growing season. Subdivision, I didn't,
I don't believe it's in our subdivision regulations. There's very
but I
limited.
thought that would be a good condition, since it was a special permit, we could add them.
Are we adding any vegetation with the exception of the trees that were added?
I don't think so.
I don't believe we are. That would be more in a vegetated strip, like a buffer strip.
Well, they call it, shrubs of trees, you know, which die, you know, the pieces of trees, not shrubbery. We are we are requiring a couple.
The
was
trees,
it
we are
3
requiring
trees?
a couple of trees, right?
Yeah, and there was existing trees there.
So would we wanna add that as another special condition? That the trees, if they
Yeah.
don't take after the first growing season, have to be replaced?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that? Pretty easy to add, right?
And
As
then,
in, would you add that as a special condition?
yeah, and the other thing about the trees was at least 2 inches, 40 feet apart.
Well-
But we put them on either side, didn't we, of the road?
Yeah, but they're not spaced 40
No,
feet.
not
They're-
spaced
they're-
40.
I would say as shown on the plan.
Were they on, yeah, I would say that too, because they're not on either side, are they? They're
No,
only
I
on
think-
one
I
side.
think they were located based on the most appropriate location of the plan.
Right.
And-
But the 2-inch caliber, The breast height sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to,
Wait, do you want to even get as specific as the species that was discussed? Or was it just the recommendation?
Well, did you guys?
I added
Red
the
maple,
4
was it?
trees to the plan, and I put sunset maple.
There you go.
What was it?
Sunset maple, it's right on the plan. It's on both the detail and.
So it's all set.
Just as an aside.
Is that
what
the
do you have
red
against
maple?
Sugar maple.
Well, they're just really salt sensitive. I love them. They're great trees.
Okay, cool.
But they're-
I wanted also to preserve the rock wall that was on there. There's one on the, is it the north side? There was a rock wall on that parcel?
Yes, on the, northeast side.
Okay.
Was it a
Along-
boundary
along-
line?
Yeah, it's boundary line.
Oh, it's a boundary line.
Right hand side, yeah.
Any plans for changing it or moving it or?
No, it's actually a common boundary line, we really can't.
Well, I don't
change
think you can change
No,
it.
Can't mess with
it's a
that.
common line, so we
Yeah.
can't mess with it.
No, that was important to me. And then the easements to be in place, and I think you already mentioned that. Make sure the easements are in place before he starts.
What easement?
He had some lists.
It's already, there's one that has been recorded.
Okay,
It's already,
that's already been recorded.
yeah, that's the
That's the easement that gives the land to,
Yes.
okay.
And I sent Howard language that we're gonna incorporate the terms of the decision in each deed, so we don't have to so everything,
good.
so it's as if.
All carried.
So it's all,
All run
anything
with
shown
land.
on the plans and the decisions,
Right.
those terms and conditions are incorporated into each deed. So that'll be specific language in the deed, so we should have that covered.
It'll all run with the land in perpetuity
Correct.
in theory, right?
Under special conditions, item B, the applicant shall ensure that the following language is stated and incorporated onto both deeds for Jefferson Court when the two houses are sold. This conveyance is made subject to and with the benefit of all terms and conditions of the decision of the Georgetown Planning Board dated May 14th, 2014, recorded with Essex South District Registry of Deeds and book blank, page blank, and the plans filled with said decisions, Essex South District Registry of Deeds and plan book blank, plan blank. So,
So are you all set there?
Yeah, that was my notation set.
Bob, did you have any?
I'm good.
Rob? Okay. I only have one issue, and I think maybe it's a philosophical issue, maybe, but it seemed important to me. There was a disparity, a conflict there, the two portions, and I can't pull out the paragraph numbers or anything, but essentially in one part of the decision, it says that there were no covenants to be placed
Right.
on the lots, and in another part, they said there were to be covenants placed on the lot. I noticed that something that was missing out of the decision was an area for conditions prior to lot release, and I presume that was because of that. Are we not going to have covenants for the creation of the road on the lot? Will we not be requiring covenants, Form Gs?
Is that
I would think it would tie in with an occupancy permit. Does this board have to sign off on occupancy permits?
Well, if the decision calls for it, there's even the sign off for the permit, for the building permits of the individual lots, when the building inspector brings the blue sheet around.
I think we stayed away from covenants, because we didn't want to have any implication the town was involved with maintenance or anything like, you're talking installation and completion.
Right, I'm
Correct.
talking surety to make sure that the road is actually built. The way I'm reading that right now, and don't take this the wrong way, but if you were any other unscrupulous developer, it looks to me like, once that decision's handed off and the appeal period goes forth, an unscrupulous developer could walk into the building inspector's office and essentially get a building permit for the road and the two houses.
But can't you notify the building inspector that no occupancy permit is to be issued until this board or its agent has approved construction of the road, of the court?
And essentially, that's where it is. That's the whole idea behind
So I mean,
the covenant.
he can build, but if he can't get an occupancy permit, he's gonna have to adhere to whatever he didn't adhere to.
That would be prior to the prior to the release of the lots. The release of covenant
Okay.
to the lots.
But the houses would already be built.
Well,
Well, in the past, when you've done subdivisions, have you required lot releases,
prior to
them
the building
proceed?
permit.
Right,
Yeah, before you get a
building
building
permit,
you
you're
need-
done with
yeah.
this, we'll release the next lots.
You have every right in the world to build your houses.
But see, they're not gonna wanna
But
complete,
to
I don't
sell
think you're
them-
gonna wanna complete the road until all your heavy equipment.
No, I'm just worried about getting a loan from a bank, you know, if I don't have a lot release. Is that true? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, if you were, I don't think he wants, or you would want the road done, and then all this heavy equipment.
We always want the road done before you sell your lots.
Sure.
Sell
Not.
them, sell them, correct.
Right.
I'm talking about construction.
Oh, yeah, you can build anything you want.
Go to binder, but I wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's what we go for. You're a
Yeah,
binder.
yeah.
And of course, there's inspections all along that
Right.
to make
Right,
sure. I mean,
right.
I think it's indicative of this board that anyone purchasing a lot, because it was approved under subdivision control law, that they would be able to be confident that the roadway was up to a certain standard. And
Well, isn't that what our,
We specified.
isn't that what our engineer is going to do when he follows?
The site inspecting
Yeah.
engineer.
absolutely, and he would
That's
certify
his
that it
job.
was.
Yeah.
And once he did certify that it was at binder course, and we were at that certain stage, at that point, we would release the covenant.
Yeah,
That's,
I mean,
that's our surety.
so you would put a bind, you
Cleared
could put a
that
binder
up.
in. and then-
Yeah.
I often wondered how did I.
That's the process.
Okay.
When you get a little further, once the paper leaves our office,
Okay.
you know, once our signature dries, how it moves out and goes into the real world. So will we
Okay.
be adding covenants?
Yeah.
And condition of prior to lot release, the whole normal blurb
Right,
that was taken out.
okay.
Road must be approved, brought to binder course. You've got the blurb. And we can add that in.
Yeah,
So this is our surety that it's gonna get done.
Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any?
No,
the only other item, I wanna bring up when it comes to the forms is, the applicant shall obtain a Form M subdivision permit from the planning board. And does the planning board want us to add that, into prior to issuance of, any type of, start of construction or endorsement,
Prior
after
to
the
start of-
endorsement of the sign-up sheets?
Prior to start off the construction, right?
Okay, cause that's where it is now.
Yeah. You should get that right after or right before the pre-construction conference.
Prior to pre-construction and after, the appeal period and recordation of the deeds.
Absolutely. Makes the most sense there, right? Let the record show that Tim Howard arrives at, go by this one, 7:22, please. Tim, just to bring you up to speed, we went through the vouchers, the minutes, blah, blah, the correspondence. Right now, what we're talking about is the second order and the second item of the new business. Jefferson Court, we're talking about the decision, the draft decision. We made a few tweaks and changes, and glad you're here.
Was there any reference made to the drainage?
Your ads were added in.
Right,
Those have already been referenced, in case of anything else.
especially the why.
Why?
The why. You specifically requested
reasoning
the why,
behind it.
the reasons for the basins.
Oh, right,
Which was a
right.
good
That-
call.
Well, because somebody could always, like, not change the basins, but build a berm along the property line that keeps the water down to the southern property.
Right.
So if you spell out that that was for drainage flow as currently exists. I don't know.
Absolutely.
No, it's good.
Grass clippings can do a lot.
Yeah.
Rob, was there something that you wanted to bring up, or?
Well, I wasn't part of this project, so with regards to, conditions, do you have, don't you have a template that you go by often as a starting point?
So the boilerplate template is a little generic, just because each subdivision tends to be so unique.
Sure.
But, and usually it's the idea to present the draft for removal as opposed to addition.
Right.
So,
Right.
but with this, under provisions, I kept a lot of the similar general conditions, but had to add in a few unique ones for the special conditions.
And the reference to Pond Street's removed.
Because it's a special permit, you could add. You know,
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yep. Yep. No, I was just, I'm just ferreting out the process as you guys are doing it.
It's
Making that note.
not as much a template as, I don't know what you wanna call it, a decision format that's evolved, mistakes made, poor decisions, or not poor decisions, but decisions that had some holes in them.
Yeah.
Once the process actually moved through,
Yep.
further on down the line, the follow-up, more than anything.
Yep.
It's evolved, and it's a good evolution.
No, it's been going on for a long
Yeah.
time.
It's a good
Especially
evolution.
about it.
And I just try to maintain it with the idea of similar to specifications, it's just the sequence of construction.
Yeah.
And then special conditions at the end, or things that will bring.
Let the record show that the technical review engineer Larry Graham is arriving at 7:25.
So with these changes, I can amend the draft decision into a final decision and have it available for the board to sign along with the Mylars at the May 14th meeting.
Those will be ready for May 14th?
And Bill and I have coordinated on a few items that were reflected in the decision to be written onto the plan.
Everybody good with that? I don't think we need a motion. I think we know what's going on, huh? So, this isn't a public hearing, this is just an item, and see you on the 14th, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, good night.
Next under new business is the A and R.
Yeah, do we wanna do the A and R, or do we wanna jump right into, wanna jump into turning leaf, or you wanna do the A and R very quickly?
Well, Bussing is here, the person, the applicant for the A and R.
Why don't we do the A and R? Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Get it out of the way. Hi, Mr. Bussing, tell us what your A and R is all about, please. Or, wait a minute, state your name for the record, please.
My name's Jim Bussing, live at 160 West Main Street. And I've acquired three other parcels of land around my house. And I'd like to combine them and have one A and R lot. The reason for this is for tax reasons.
Should be in here.
For tax reasons, yeah.
Currently, here's the right-of-way that was created as, when was, Eileen Circle? Irene Circle.
No, it was
I'm sorry,
Lock and
what-
Circle.
Larkin.
Larkin Circle, and Bussing supplied the deeds for the 4 lots. He's abandoning this line, and this line to combine these 4 lots. These two created off of the Richardson Lane subdivision. This one was existing, and this lot was created in an earlier effort for this 1 lot subdivision. Not a subdivision. In your packet were all the previous actions of the planning board that the planning office has on record for the 1 lot subdivision of Irene Circle, all the conditions set forth with that. And this is, all those properties are under same ownership.
They will be.
Are they now?
They're
Right,
basically
you own all the
mine.
4 lots.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know,
We have like trusts holding them?
I think one's in a trust and the others are in my name and my wife's.
And the idea
Might
is
have to
to
just change one.
incorporate them all together so you
Yeah.
get one tax bill?
Yeah.
You mean a property tax bill? You're
Yeah.
talking about that? Okay.
And this is your primary residence right here?
Yes.
Right.
So when you're ready to build, you're going to come back and you want us to put back the lines?
I'm not gonna be ready to build.
No? Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw the deed references to to Larkin Circle, and I looked it up at the Registry of Deeds, and, there was a decision that created that circle, and part of that definitive subdivision, one of the conditions right on the plan, and this is why I love having things on the plan, was that, it was actually a revised decision. And it stated that if the lot was ever subdivided to have more than one home, more than one house, that Larkin would have to be brought up to subdivision standards.
Right.
And is there any way to like transfer that onto this A&R? And the only reason I say that is because at some point, if you were to sell the full property, once those lines are removed, in the next iteration, someone might think that they have some kind of right to.
Harry,
Yeah.
as I recall, that decision was to 160 West Main, which is the one
Mhm.
structure that's there, and it's not on the deed of one of these other properties. It will stay with this one because these lots are being combined onto the deed for this existing property.
So that decision will stay with that 160
This house.
and with,
That's how I read it.
and with Larkin Circle.
Yes.
So 20 years from now, 50 years from now, we're all gone and we forgot about this. Someone will come in and think that they can just do an A&R and create frontage because Larkin Circle exists. They would know via that deed and that decision that they have to upgrade Larkin Circle for more than just the dirt road that it is.
The decision read a subdivision road, but they might be able to make a special application for a quarter lane or something like
At that
that.
point, it would look like it would be a court. Well, I'm good with it. The only other thing that I noticed that seemed an anomaly was that, when I looked it up on the assessor's map, on my map, not on the assessor's map, but on my map, which I believe is based on the assessor's map, what is it, parcel A2? Parcel A2 and, yeah, that little area there, where it says the lot lines to be abandoned,
Mm-hmm.
that already has been abandoned. I believe. Yeah, it shows as one, in conjunction with, what is it, 6D 109G. They appear to be one, there's no line, in the assessor's map.
Yeah, but there's still two tax bills. It never really got abandoned. I mean, I see what you're telling me right there.
Yeah. Well, maybe this will help clarify that.
Maybe at the time I did that, I planned to abandon them, and now I'm coming in here to just abandon all the lot lines that are interior.
Anybody, somebody want to give me a motion to endorse?
Howard, are you all set with it?
I am, yeah. The Mylar's here, and there's a Sharpie pen for signature.
So this lot is unbuildable, this piece that you've had, parcel A2, because it's undersized.
Yeah,
But is this right now called a legal lot because you did not abandon it?
no, there's no legal lots. There's no legal lots other than where my house is.
I'm sure you understand this isn't the RA. You can make, zoning for the RA is tiny little lots.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering, is,
Looks like it fit like 3 or 4 lots there on that circle, under the zoning.
Yeah,
Sure,
but
you
you
can
have to
understand
start
why the
all
board-
over
yeah.
again to do it.
Actually, Tilly, just, not to This, what is it, lot 122A is called, not a separate building lot. That was what was pointed out on the definitive plan.
That lot was created with the definitive plan for Larkin Circle.
Yeah, as not a building lot. It was pulled out as not a separate building lot.
So that's gonna be removed now.
Right, it's going to be combined into one lot.
But this
Yeah.
plan is recorded.
Just when,
Well, I would hope it's
Yeah.
exactly like the Mylar,
Right,
right? This is
It
the
is.
Mylar where we'd be signing?
yeah.
oh, I thought the lines would be gone when
No,
we signed it.
no.
Oh,
This is just combining lots.
Well, if anybody would like to make a motion to endorse the A and R for 160 West Main Street.
So moved.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by
Yeah, I'll second.
Bob. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
oh,
I think
Aye.
I can vote on this,
Absolutely.
right? This one's new.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Is
Welcome.
that an aye? Motion carries unanimously.
It's so ironic for me to say welcome to you.
And if three folks want to grab a pen, and we can do that a little later, or we can do
And
it
up there to sign the
whenever.
later.
Grab that a little later. Great, okay.
Collect that at tomorrow, planning office tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we? Good, we're done with that. We're done with Jefferson Court, that wraps new business, way ahead of schedule. I am now opening, I would now like to open the public hearing for OSRD Chaplain Hills, being after 7:15. Howard, would you, read a truncated public hearing notice, please? Want to truncate it? Please.
Let me find it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotta be in there somewhere. Essentially, what we're doing right now, folks, is opening the notice public hearing for the open space residential subdivision submittal for Chaplain Hills. Maybe we might not even find the public notice, but take our word for it. There was a public notice. It was in the paper. It was posted. Oh, there you go, public hearing.
I get it.
Okay.
In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, and Town of Georgetown zoning bylaw, Article 7, the Georgetown Planning Board will hold a public hearing on April 23rd at 7:15 in the third floor meeting room at Georgetown Memorial Town Hall, 1 Library Street, to consider C.P. Berry special permit application for preliminary open space residential subdivision regarding property off of Chaplain Hills Road in Georgetown, Massachusetts. The property is located in the outside residential CRC zone district and is also described as tax assessor map 4 lot 53 and map 10A lot 9. Copy of the application to plan is on file at the Georgetown Planning Office and may be inspected Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Any person interested or wishing to be heard regarding the application should appear either in person, agent, or by attorney at the time and place designated. As advertised, the Georgetown Record, April 4th, 2014, and April 11th, 2014.
Duly open public hearing. With that in mind, the first order is correspondence that was received recently with reference
The
to it from
planning
the owner.
office received from C.P. Berry Homes, 460 Boston Street, Topsfield, Massachusetts, dated April 22nd, regarding Chaplain Hills Road development. We respectfully request to withdraw our application without prejudice before you open the hearing on this following Wednesday. We have not been able to make any progress relative to legal matters on the ownership of Chaplain Hills Road and decided it was not prudent to incur additional time and expenses on this project. If it is possible, we kindly request that any unused funds from the application fees be refunded. Thank you for your assistance and look forward to working with you again. Alan Berry, P.E. This was received April 22nd, both by the planning board and the town clerk.
Contrary to the applicant's wishes, they can't withdraw before we open the hearing. We have to open the hearing. Now that we've opened the hearing, we'll accept the motion to allow the applicant to withdraw.
So moved.
So moved by Bob to allow the withdrawal,
Second.
seconded by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. I'll accept the motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Okay.
Bob moves to close the hearing.
Second.
Tilly seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Excellent. On to the next order of business. Turning Leaf.
So just to
sorry.
clarify for anybody that's here to listen to the Chaplain Hills OSRD, they've withdrawn their application. So the public hearing's closed and application won't be proceeding anymore.
Any questions? I should have, my fault, I should have taken public comment. I apologize for that. It's gone. Go enjoy your night. Breathe easy, breathe easy. Or stay and, you know,
It's a very
party with
entertaining-
us, you know. Hello,
Good evening.
good evening.
How is everyone?
Very good.
Since the weather's turning,
Yeah,
great,
really,
right?
back the wrong way. I'd like to announce the opening of the continuation of Turning Leaf. Definitive subdivision plan, definitive subdivision. Would you please state your name for the record, please?
I most certainly will. Jill Mann here on behalf of the applicant, Artisan Development LLC. Here with me this evening is Rich Williams from Williams and Spragg, the site design engineer. Excuse me. We have been working diligently to respond to all of Mr. Graham's technical review comments and to provide this board with responses appropriate thereto. In addition to that, Mr. Graham did review the traffic report that was presented and reviewed by the board at our last meeting. And we do in fact have a response that I'm going to give to Mr. Graham. I understand that we didn't present it because we just literally had gotten it. But essentially, the comments made by Mr. Graham in his final review regarding the traffic report were fairly route to respond to, as far as control over a wall. We can go through Mr. Graham's comments when the time comes, if that's most appropriate for the board. But we do have a letter that I can give to the board, and we can discuss it at some point.
Which letter was it?
The most recent letter from Mr. Graham was dated April 21st, and I do have a letter from MDM Transportation dated April 23rd. And as I said, it is exceptionally easy to review those comments, because all it says is we agree with a lot of the signage requested by Mr. Graham. And then with regard to one of the impediments to site distance, which need to be corrected, we
And Marlboro?
have that on the plan.
At the end of Marlboro.
No, actually, the one at the end of Narborough, we addressed, and he said, in our traffic response, we said, look, we do have control over a certain area. I shouldn't say we, the town has
Town has
control.
right of way.
Over the right of way, and that would permit about a 40-foot expansion, and we did include that in our traffic report, and Mr. Graham basically said, well, if you have control over that, what do you plan on doing? We'll discuss that tonight with this board. In addition to that, there was one area, when you're exiting the proposed new exit for Cyril, if you will, right next to Wilkins Place, there's an area that needs to have some work on a stone wall, right, Mr. Graham? Work on a stone wall and then removal of a tree. And Mr. Graham wanted us to confirm that we in fact have control over 42 Cyril Street. So what I did was prepare, remember how you had asked me to prepare that letter? Just saying that we have control. I did that again so that you'd have it for your records, and I'll give that to Mr. Snyder. It just says I have control over 42 and I can do the work required for the wall and the removal of the tree. If you wouldn't mind, just passing that along. Excuse me. So that was one of the things. The other thing that had actually been brought up was the construction access points.
Could you
Oh, of
stop
course,
just for a second?
absolutely.
And I'm just trying to follow along. 42, could you show me which one is 42, Howard, please?
Howard, right between
that the
Wilkins
one
and
that-
Cyril's, the new street. The front lot,
Pamela.
right there, 42,
Kurt and
yes.
Pamela Berube?
On parcel D,
Silnet?
right, on
Okay.
parcel D, that's the area in which we need to provide for the site distance easement and to have a little bit of stone wall work done, and then the removal of a tree. And that's the document I just gave to Mr. Snyder was in fact a document, certifying that we in fact do have control over that and can undertake that work at our discretion. So that was one of the big things in Mr. Graham's.
Is that adequate for you, Larry?
Yes.
And then in addition to that, if I may, give this to Mr. Graham, and I have it for the board as well. In addition, if you look at the property as far as, now we're going out, so all of the intersections that are pertinent to the subdivision and give pause to the town with regard to some travel issues. Do you need more stop signs? Do you want to enhance signage?
Would it be best at this point to pull up a graphic from, it was a letter
Do you
written
have
from
that?
your engineer?
Mike?
Not your
Oh,
traffic engineer.
MD, yeah, MD,
Right,
yeah.
the letter.
The one I have is dated April 15th.
That's okay. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay.
No, it was later than that.
That's,
It was more recent than that.
In
Wasn't it?
April?
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is last week's.
that's last week's.
Oh, there you go. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So essentially what Mr. Mills, our traffic consultant, had said was that we absolutely agree that the installation of a stop sign at the intersection of Marlboro and Fieldstone is needed. And in,
The hand on Marlboro,
Oh, please.
Marlboro and Shieldstone, Howard.
Marlboro's right here.
Mhm.
This is White Plain,
And that's Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Marlboro. Marlboro loops around though, right?
Right.
Okay, there you go. Now it makes sense. All right. And Fieldstone being the one that's not labeled there, between Cyril and Marlboro, right? And so, Larry, where was the stop sign? Where? I'm sorry, could you help me out?
I recommended stop signs in about 6 different locations.
I can-
And stop lines. That,
at Tenny and at Marlboro was one of them.
Mhm.
At Cyril, White Pines, and Lisa. The request was actually to install a stop sign and place stop line on Cyril Street, making it a 3-way stop. This is the one thing that actually MDM did not concur with. MDM's position was because Cyril Street is a one-way going, in that direction, that a 3-way stop was not really indicated in this area. However, he was willing to defer to what the town thought was in the best interest, but in his opinion, as a traffic engineer, that was the one location where it was not necessary.
And there aren't already stop signs there
Not a
if you're
three-way
coming
stop
from
there.
White Pine or from Lisa Lane?
if you're on White Pines, there's stop signs at White Pines and Lisa Lane, but there is not a stop sign on Searle Street, which is where I recommended that one-way north
Oh,
stop.
right, and,
So when you approach from this direction, there's
right,
a stop.
right, I understand what you're
proceeding.
saying.
So Mr. Mills' position was, under traffic standards, a sign was not indicated.
The idea being that it's not a 3-way stop.
It-
It is a throughway. with
Exactly,
through
for a
opposing
one,
stop.
yeah.
Barry, I'll defer to you on that.
Is that that's incorrect, there's Cyril Street here, and then you got Cyril Street over there, and you got Cyril Street
Searle Street,
Cyril Street's right
all the way to Woodland.
Yeah.
to Woodland, but then on the side, you got a Cyril Street.
that's
Woodland, that's.
Oh, we
That's
just,
Woodland.
oh, I see it now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's Woodland.
That's Woodland Road.
That's Woodland, that's just a mistake.
Gosh.
Yep. I wouldn't mind, but that's on a national map, welcome to Google Map, huh?
That's Google.
That's Google Map for you. So that was the one
Google has
place
lots
where
of mistakes.
he's looking actually, for Mr. Graham to give him information was why I think it would be appropriate, and Mr. O'Connell has indicated that if the town wants a traffic stop and it's merited, of course, we'll aid that.
You'll buy the stop sign?
Yeah, of course, install, yeah, not an issue. There was also a stop sign indicated for Cyril and Fieldstone. One on Marlboro.
On Fieldstone side.
Yes, install stop light on Fieldstone Lane. I'm sorry, I should read the whole thing, huh? And then, there's a Marlboro and Fieldstone Lane also, and it says MDM suggested a stop sign and a place stop on Fieldstone Lane. So they were actually suggesting, to have both there. Marlboro and White Road, place stop sign on White Pine Drive. Woodland in Ledge, Larry suggested an installation of a stop sign and a stop line on Ledge Drive.
What, is that Ledge?
Ledge is over here off of Marlboro, right?
Well, what's the street that it's right?
Where Woodland hits it, where it says Cyril, actually, Ms. Evangelista,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be Woodland coming down, so it'd be right, yeah, there you go, thank you.
I know that, but I
Oh.
mean, this one that's right straight, that's going to, White Pine is on the left. What is that street? Is
That's
that?
Marlboro.
This one here.
No,
I don't
no,
know
no.
where
This
she's
one here?
talking about.
Yeah, that one.
What's she talking about?
This is
I can't
Marlboro.
see
This
it.
is White Plain and this is all Marlboro.
Yep.
That's White Plain, yeah.
This is White Pine.
White Pine.
White pines are right there, that little
All right, so
stuff.
that's Marlboro. This one?
Marlboro
This
loops
one is
around
Marlboro,
to Ledge and Abbey.
and John Lennon lives
Who paid for that map?
Google, right?
It's a free download.
Yeah. And then Woodland Road and Tenney Street, install a stop sign and place a stop line on Woodland Road. The one thing that Dan did note also, and,
Yeah.
is that, installation of stop lines, again, this could be something that Larry can respond to, and, he and Dan Mills can have a conversation, but he doesn't believe the installation of the actual stop lines, you know, those lines you draw on the street, are mandatory, given the context of this particular, traffic level. However, again, we're more than willing to discuss it with Larry, or if the board has a position one way or another. You really don't have any, I don't think, at all in town anywhere, do you? Other than, you know, in the center where you have
Old Bay
lights?
Road, they do.
Okay.
We've had it for quite a while.
The stop, the line, okay.
Double.
I know you have it in the center of town. Dan wasn't familiar with, where you have stop lines,
Yeah.
you know, in a common context with regard to stops, so he just noted that as well. And essentially, that was, I mean, Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, other than the construction, access points, which Dan would like to discuss with you, I
Isn't
think
that
we've
what this
satisfied
map
his concern.
actually is that we're looking at? Isn't this the proposed truck route?
No.
No,
I'm sorry, can you pull back a little, Howard? Can you zoom out a little bit? Proposed truck route. That's what this is, actually
Oh,
is, right?
oh, the red lines, okay.
Hmm.
I thought he had another.
Larry,
Beg your pardon. I looked at this, but I'm thrown off because trucks can't do this, which is
No.
what my letter says.
okay.
Well, what, in what Dan's comment was, is while those signs are posted, they're only local signs. They are not, state sanctioned signs. He actually called the, State Department, and the town is not legally permitted to, I'm not saying we'll do this route, I'm just telling you that you are not permitted to legally prohibit trucks from making that approach. There's nothing that grants that right. However,
Without getting into a debate and opinions about whether the town does or does not have the right to put up a sign.
oh, it has the right to put up a
What
sign.
is the
Can't
fatal
enforce it.
flaw you're seeing here, Larry, with this proposed truck route? Get you in a moment, sir.
Simply the signage. The trucks are prohibited from turning off of East Main into Tenney Street eastbound, and they're prohibited from going beyond Woodland, westbound on Tenney. So you've got signs in both locations which would not get you to Marlboro at Tenney. Now that, you know, the exception accepted, that MDM stated in here, these do look like local signs, but they are signage, and whether or not the police can
Can I
enforce them or not, I don't
interrupt for
know.
1 second?
Hmm?
The sign at Marlboro and Tenney says no through truck traffic. It doesn't say no truck traffic. I think it indicates that you can't drive from there out to 133, not that you can't use that for local access. It says no through truck traffic.
Hmm.
You can't drive there to Martel Way from Tenney.
No, you're coming from Martel Way.
Cyril, yeah.
You're
from the-
coming from Martel when you see that
33,
sign.
You can't just shoot up with your trucks to Martel.
I know, but the sign that I'm speaking of is coming from Martel. When you get to Marlboro, there is a sign that says no through truck traffic. The other sign says no trucks.
When you're coming from Martel, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm seeing this right, when you get to this intersection here from Martel,
You're on the wrong
This is
side of
the
the
one
highway
way.
there. It's the other side of the highway you're talking about, I think.
Martel is.
I'm sorry.
on that side.
I'm sorry. I meant
Where-
from
where that hand
Longview.
is
When you're
right
coming
there.
from Longview,
When you're coming from over here.
when you're
from
coming
your-
from Longview and you
Right.
hit Woodland, the sign says no through truck traffic.
Right.
It doesn't say no truck traffic.
And then
So
I
I
believe
think,
there's another sign over here that says no traffic on Searle,
yeah, that says no trucks, low wires.
low wires or
Yeah.
something like that.
There's another one at 133 in
And there's
Tenny.
one here?
No, down.
133 in Tenny.
133 in Tenny, right where the hand is.
So your
Oh, okay.
traffic consultant is saying that they don't have to abide by that?
No, they're saying that we'll abide by whatever the town wants to create as its construction road. That's why I specifically said it is not that we won't abide by whatever, Mr. Graham and this board recommend. It's just that he looked at the signs, he believed them to be local. He immediately called up to determine whether or not they were in fact state-sanctioned signs. They are not, which means you can post them to try and discourage the traffic, but you can't ticket for accessing the roads, is what his point is. Again, if you don't want us to drive those roads and you prefer us to traverse more residential, it's a longer route than any other way. So I think to Rich's point is the most direct route, sometimes if it's as safe as any other route, is the best route. And that's what Mr. Mills had proposed. But if the town would prefer us to take another route, so be it. But for example, if you're gonna have a
Right, so-
delivery, you have to have a delivery
If-
with a truck going to that,
But he
that's
didn't.
what happens.
Well, to my mind, as far as if I was sitting where you
Sure.
are, if your trucks are going to damage the roads, you would wanna be on the most perfect, constructed road that we do have in that area. Otherwise, you're gonna be responsible for paying for any damage to the road. So I think if I was sitting over there, I would try to be as cautious as possible and make sure you're constructing road, trucks go on the most protected street rather than on some of these roads are in such poor condition that your trucks are gonna do substantial damage.
Well, I think we've got the best route laid out here. This is the best
It's the most
route, the
direct
roads are
route.
fine. These are routes that trucks go on routinely. You know, trash pickup occurs and people have the septic systems pumped and, the trucks drive on those roads now. So,
It's very similar to the existing bus route too, so.
Yeah, but we haven't had a
Direct route.
development, trucks constantly coming through, like
yeah,
you're going to
I mean,
have.
I don't expect to be
that area.
constant
For a
truck
long,
traffic.
long time, we haven't had, constant.
But I think the route that we've got on that sheet there is the best route, most direct, and would have the least effect on the abutters. And I think that, again, the sign says no through truck traffic, and it's not through truck traffic. We'd be going down Tenny, going into the site, and then going out and taking, as you come out to Tenny, we'd be taking a left on Tenny and going out the access road out to 95 behind the apartment. So,
I think that's a good way.
May I say, Larry, I've never known you to say something without having a proposed solution when you pointed out a problem. What are you thinking here? What's your level of
Well,
thinking?
I didn't really look at this other than to point out that I didn't think it was doable because of the signage, whether it's local sanctioned or approved by the state. I tend to agree that this is the most direct route in that's now shown on this map, just regarding signage. It's the most direct route in and probably the most direct route out. But I think the route out, coming out of Marlboro at Tenny with a big truck, a big rig trying to make a left turn on the Tenny to go eastbound with that sight distance,
Yeah, wasn't that the corner that
Yeah.
we said was dangerous?
which incidentally is probably the only one in the area, but has a white painted stop line on it.
Hmm.
It's worn up for Mr. Mills.
Right.
Yeah, but whatever the board decides on a truck route or routes, the neighbors, people in the neighborhood are not gonna be happy with you because they don't want it. But, probably the best or the safest turnout of that area is Woodland at
Woodland.
Tenny as opposed to Marlboro at Tenny coming out, whether they're
Correct me if I'm
loaded or
wrong.
not.
Isn't this whole area an industrial district?
Well,
The houses.
once you get past Ledge up, and actually on the west side of Woodlands residential, but once you get up into that Martell Way area, that is all industrial. So that's where your major truck traffic is right now.
Right.
And it's a much safer, it's not the greatest, but it's a much safer intersection at Woodland and Tenny than Marlboro or Tenny for people exiting, whether trucks or vehicles.
Coming
Passenger
out.
vehicles Coming out.
So essentially coming in would most likely be Longview across, going up where where Bob's finger was,
Going in Marlboro, left on White Pines, Lisa Lane,
up into Lisa Lane.
and coming out, perhaps Searle Street to Marlboro to Ledge,
Coming out, I lost you, go ahead.
coming out to Searle to Marlboro.
Down, okay.
Yeah,
And
Fieldstone.
then taking the left
Fieldstone's not shown.
towards
Yeah,
Fieldstone
Fieldstone, Marlboro,
out
Ledge.
to Woodland.
Right.
Oh, that way?
Yeah.
I would think that,
Either
who's got
coming
that?
out here.
Yeah, I would think they'd continue
Or
on
here.
Searle.
Well,
exit
that
continue on
road is
Searle.
very narrow,
Right.
a lot of sharp curves and in very poor condition. Coming down Fieldstone, Marlboro to Ledge to Woodland, and then left, or right, well, preferably left out of it.
I would just be thinking from what Tilly was saying, that the roadways most likely to sustain the least amount of damage would be the industrial roadway.
Well,
And-
it is, but you have to get from here to it.
Mm.
And this road, this stretch of Searle Street is, well, it's no
Less
better
than
than this
ideal?
stretch. They're poor. Poor, narrow, sharp curves, no shoulders, large trees in some areas close to the road.
Fieldstone is kind of like that too, though. isn't it?
Fieldstone's pretty wide,
Is it?
and open, as is Marlboro and Ledge, and then, so,
Would we, would it just make sense to exit the way they come in? If, before any of that was done, before any
well,
of the site work occurred, if maybe some kind of a correction could occur to Tenny Street in Marlboro? If
the
there was
on-
a site improvement done
the
there?
only correction, they suggested that a cutback of this bank on the east side of the intersection might give them another 40 feet of sight distance. They probably have, I don't know what it is now, I don't think they did it, but if it's 100, it's probably a stretch.
And could
50.
could we
Yeah, it's more
illuminate
than
that at
that.
all?
150.
It
We did.
appears less because you can't see the road,
Yeah.
but, it's about 145 and you could add another, 40 or so to it and make it 190.
And even your elevated height of your, height for your truck isn't gonna help that. It's not, it's a horizontal, it's not a vertical. So the elevated height of the eye of the truck driver is.
Well, it actually will help because it's,
You're just objecting to everything I say now.
yeah, well, we're trying to get over that hump there. So it's gonna help. It's, it's not the absolute
Over
solution.
the hump of the,
Because
cut
the
at bank.
grade comes out into the street like this.
Yeah.
We're talking about, cutting it back like
Yeah.
this would help, but having the eye height higher does help.
Mhm.
It's not a huge help, but it does help.
And that's something you were proposing to do on the town-owned right-of-way?
Well, that's something they had
We
brought
haven't.
up. We haven't.
Okay.
Hasn't been
I'd just like to,
We
I'd just
haven't
like to hear what
discussed
this
it at all.
gentleman has to say. So would you state your name for the record, please?
26 Searle Street, and I'm all about safety, kids and that, but when they did the traffic report and that, there's no leaves on these trees now. So I hope that's taken into an account. If you really wanna be safe, the only way to go through this is to get at least a red blinking light, okay? If not, a stoplight. Because other than that, and I've been there for 20 years, I'm into safety, okay?
Mhm.
Working at Cancer Hospital, 40 years. I'm into kids. And I know the area better than
And you're
anybody,
referring,
same as
I'm
Tilly.
sorry. You're referring to Tenny Street in Marlboro?
Right.
You're suggesting a
Now
red
you're doing
blinking,
side things,
a
and you're
blinking
doing
light.
this. There's no leaves on the trees when you're doing these Okay, wait till things start to grow. 'Cause
You're saying that
less site,
the
okay?
vegetation diminishes the sight distance,
Okay.
right? Is that what you're
Didn't
saying?
mean to interrupt,
Not at all. It's a very valid point, and thank you. It's not an interruption in the slightest bit. Something I'm glad to hear. I guess what this boils down to now is, we need to, somehow manage to balance, the hazard of vehicle, truck traffic exiting from, help me out here, Marlboro, and taking the left onto Tenny when exiting. And we have to balance that against, the nuisance factor of additional exiting through Marlboro Road Ledge Drive.
I like that,
You like that?
yeah. But,
You think that's a better way?
well, that way, when you, I mean, when you get out on Ledge Drive and you're taking that left, I'm sorry, right onto Searle Street,
Ledge to where?
when you get out to Tenny Street, that's, you have good sight distance on both sides there. So you can take that left and it's not a hazardous left, but it is a hazardous left if you come down Marlboro to Tenny.
Oh, I get that, and I'm wondering
So,
if the
I think
hazard
Larry's
is
idea-
mitigated is enough to justify adding, well, just nuisance factor to the folks that live on Ledge and on Marlboro, on that section of
It's a
Marlboro.
distribution of the nuisance and annoyance though,
Mhm.
because it would have the hassles that people living on Marlboro from Fieldstone to Tenny would have to endure and just hand it off to your
Because, I mean,
the folks on Marlboro.
It's a hassle no matter which way
Right.
you go.
It is,
Exactly.
it
But,
is. I
but
mean,
it's a
Exactly.
safety issue, I think.
Safety
it's-
issues,
it's-
traffic
it's
issues can be
more-
mitigated with a detail.
It's more safe to go out Marlboro to Ledge, like Larry suggested.
Okay.
Rob?
Well, I'm just listening to this, Harry, for
I
the first
understand,
time.
but I'm
so-
valuing your input.
Well,
And this
yeah.
is the first time we're actually
Yeah.
listening to it, so
Mhm.
Well-
you're not at any disadvantage at all.
Well,
Did you get a copy of this?
what I guess what I wanted to ask, Larry, was, if there was an improvement to the intersection of Marlboro and Tenny, would that change your opinion?
Well, I don't believe there can be enough of an improvement at that intersection
Okay,
to make the sight distance
okay,
equal to what you have out here
At Ledge.
okay.
at,
I
at
understand.
Woodland.
And,
And
and, and Marlboro coming into Ledge and then that jog, that all works.
Any,
Yeah,
any
we're not-
public comment? I'd like to hear some public comment.
Well,
Just
I
one
just-
moment.
let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess my recommendation to the board is to, listen to their professional engineer
Ledge,
on,
out via Ledge.
on how to, circulate the vehicular traffic here.
Seems kind of a binary choice. We really don't have a great number of options. Either out via Tenny from Marlboro, or out via Woodland via Ledge.
I
Seems
just.
pretty like a binary choice here.
I just think my point is, these are serious discussions in terms of how you're gonna route traffic and safety. And, I put a lot of stock into Larry's professional expertise with these kinds of decisions.
I
And
do
I
as
think
well.
the board should listen to
I
it.
do as well.
We have absolutely no problem. We'll revise the construction exit. We said that we
We're
would
just
do
trying to
that.
figure out which
Yep,
way the
if
board
they
feels
want
is the
us-
best. Tilly,
Perfect.
your call?
I feel that the truck should go on, right down to Tenny and use that alone, and go over to, Longview, where the apartments are, and go that way, coming and going.
Take the left.
Whereas the vehicles.
What is
the-
essentially being shown here.
Yeah, and
Okay.
going, and not go down to 133, turn right there.
Well, you can't.
Right, and I think that the whole conversation is predicated on using this route.
That's right.
Right, either way,
Right.
they're using
But
that.
the question is,
Either
do we
way.
get out this way
Right.
or
With
this
the-
way?
well, the-
This makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
to me
Yeah,
because of
that's-
the clarity of that intersection.
To avoid the blind corner.
Right,
the
the
very-
residents would have to use that, the Marlboro roadway to leave. In other words, I would suggest just at certain times of the day, that the residents just use that and stay off of that other road and leave that just for the trucks. For the construction.
That's an interesting concept. Bob, you're in favor of the Ledge Drive?
Yeah.
Tim?
Ledge Drive.
Ledge, Rob, Ledge,
Mhm.
myself, Ledge,
Well, I'm supporting, yeah.
upon recommendation.
Absolutely, we'll
And
revise
Like
we're
to
not,
see,
it.
understand
we're
that.
certainly not opposed to that, that's,
No,
Would you
that's fine.
revise that, please?
Of course we
Yep.
will.
And we can enter that?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. I see some hands. I'd like to take some public comment.
All right,
Name for the record, please.
Susan Stead, 48 Searle. So I live exactly where, like, you see the Searle and the little Fieldstone piece, right across from there. And the way you guys are proposing to come out down Marlboro Ledge
Mhm.
and go down Woodman and then make your way over to Longview is absolutely the way I go all the time when I'm coming that way, because of exactly what we're all talking about in that intersection. It's just deadly. So as much as I hate to, you are distributing traffic more through some more residential areas where some of those people might not be happy, but that truly is the safest way for these trucks to come, the way coming and going. So having you revise what most of you agreed upon, I totally agree with 100%. But my biggest thing is, we've got to do something about repairing the road that's gonna be between Lisa Lane and at least till we get to this Fieldstone, because if you drive down there now, I mean, the whole Searle Street really needs to be repaved, quite honestly, but at least the section from where these people are gonna be putting heavy, heavy traffic, we at least have to get some relief here, guys, because that's, you know, it's a safety concern as well. There's huge potholes, like we all talked about, there's something has to be done there. We've gotta make sure that that's done, because it really needs to be addressed, because I know everybody keeps saying, you know, not responsible for everybody paving and stuff, but we just can't keep burning in this section of the street without taking care of it. It's just really a hazard.
Thank you very much. I see another hand. Would your name, please, for the record, sir?
Sure, Eric Rizza, 4 Wilkins Place. I have a couple comments. First of all, I'd like to comment on the traffic study itself. It was done in the middle of the worst winter we've had in about 30 years. And I brought up this issue about the school buses. My kids normally take the school bus. I think my wife drove them to school every single day because it was so cold and we had a horrible winter. There's an issue with the two buses coming through that area at 7 o'clock in the morning and at 8:15 in the morning. I think the traffic study should look at that, where it was done in January. There weren't a lot of kids on the road. If you go there now.
Could I interrupt you
Sure.
with the issue about the bus? Could I ask you just to hold that thought,
Sure.
please, and move to the next, because we'll probably be circling back to that.
All right, the next one, Mr. Williams said the road was fine. The road is not fine. At Marble at White Plains, there was a sinkhole with a cone in it for about 7 months. It was about a 6-foot wide hole. And when we called to see why they hadn't repaired it, they said that the road's in such bad shape that if we repair it, it's just gonna tear right up. The intersection of Lisa Lane and Searle, where it meets White Pines, the catch basin on the southeast side has dropped about 3 feet, and these people drive by through it every day. The road is all torn up over there. These trucks are coming in that way, they're gonna be full of material, they're gonna be weighted, it's gonna tear up the road considerably up there, it's not fine. My other comment was the stop signs. How many stop signs are they adding?
It was recommended by the review agent to add, I believe, 6, you said, Larry?
Yeah.
So basically, they wanna put a stop sign in every junction, which, I'm not 100% positive about this, but I think under chapter 90, it has to be approved by the state where you put stop signs. So I can't call my local councilman or selectman and say, hey, I want a stop sign here, there, and there. In fact, in the city I work in, we just had to remove 3 signs because of that reason. They weren't approved by chapter 90. Somebody called the councilman and said, I want a stop sign at a T intersection because the traffic's going too fast. The councilman had the sign put there, and then it was removed because people complained. I just think you're inundating a small area with a lot of stop signs, and environmentally, you're getting cars stopping and going all the time. I mean, basically, we're gonna be restricted within our own neighborhood where we can go in and out of. And every intersection we come up to, we're gonna have to stop. I would have to stop 6 times before I get to Tenny Street. And there's a yield sign going from Tenny to 133, there's no stop sign there. It's just, I think you're putting off a lot of stop signs.
10 to 133.
When you're coming off of Tenny Street onto 133.
Oh, right there where the hand is
There's
showing?
a yield sign there, there's no stop sign.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna put a stop sign at Searle and Fieldstone, you can only go right or straight. I mean, it's a T intersection, why would you put a stop sign there?
It's not a 3-way, well, in my opinion, it's not, but I think we touched upon that. I understand what you're saying, and we'll take that under advisement. Was that essentially it, with the exception of the bus stop, which will probably
Well,
roll
the truck
around?
traffic at the, coming in with the material loaded on, it's gonna tear up the intersections of, Marlboro White Plains, which is already torn up. And when you go through the intersection at Shell Street where it meets Lisa Lane at White Pines, the road's all ripped up, the catch basin sunk down about 1.5 feet right now.
I think I'm hearing a common thread here, and it revolves around the condition of the road, and maybe we might be able to do something about that with respect to, if this gets approved, maybe an assay could be done. This might be more along your end of it. An assay of the road, the status of the road, the condition of the roads that are gonna be affected by the traffic, and perhaps we could do something in conjunction with the highway surveyor to ensure that, at the end of all of this, that this truck traffic didn't diminish that safety any further. I don't know, just an idea. I saw another hand.
Yeah.
You all set, Mr. Rizzo?
Yes,
Is that it?
Ian McLaughlin on Lisa Lane. So what is the proposed speed limit gonna be for some of these trucks? Are the construction vehicles, will they have a separate speed limit that they'll have to adhere to?
I don't think DOT lets you do that, do they?
No, they don't.
Over in Rowley, where the Rowley Country Club is being built, there's a construction sign that says vehicles 15 miles an hour. I'm not proposing 15 miles an hour, suggesting 15 miles an hour, but, maybe not so much for the big trucks that are, gonna be, hauling whatever they haul in there, but for the pickup trucks, they're gonna be flying around. That's what I would think we, would be concerned about.
Well, pickup trucks are flying around, and they're going over the speed limit. I would hope the cops take it down. I saw some more hands.
Tom O'Connell, the applicant. We're actually doing the Raleigh Country Club.
Huh?
Those signs actually do help quite a bit. I mean, they're not enforceable, but, we send notices out to all the delivery people to keep the speed down on the streets. 15, 20 miles an hour in the residential areas, just for safety reasons. The trucks are loaded. They get extra ways of courtesy that we do. We work with the local police department. It's part of our construction plan, and we have no issue with doing that.
Is that part of your safety program?
Yes.
I didn't want to say that, I suspected it, but I didn't want to say it without actually knowing it. Yeah, helps with your insurance, right? I saw another hand.
Kevin Duncan, 46 Earl Street. I was just wondering if the town has Sunday blue laws for construction, building, trackers, dynamiting, there's a lot of rock out there. Are there blue laws for Sunday?
Well, we can call them blue laws, but I can just tell you, we just approved a draft decision for Jefferson Court, and the hours of operation were pretty clear, and there's no mention of Sunday at all, because there is no work done on Sunday, and the hours of operation for Saturday, I believe, were 7 to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And
7 to 3 maybe, but
oh, I thought it was
not a full
7 to
day.
1. Okay, I
Not a
stand
full day.
corrected. And during the day, Monday through Friday, I believe it was 7 to 6 p.m. Again, that was that decision. To address what I think you're asking, the question I believe you're asking. You're talking
I
about
was wondering what was on the
limiting
books.
the hours of, the construction hours of operation.
Pretty much heavy duty construction.
And not to sidestep it, this board will have to come up with something like that and figure out what's appropriate for the area. But, Mr. O'Connell, since you're here, what do you usually,
Typically Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, and on Saturdays, typically we do a later start, like an 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
no work on Sunday?
No work on Sunday.
So that wouldn't be, something close to that wouldn't be onerous. But it would be nice for the neighborhood,
Right.
and at least a little peace and quiet on Sunday.
What's the Monday to Friday one again?
Well, Monday to Friday, as he was saying, was
7 to 5.
7 to 5.
7 to 5.
And I don't have an issue with that. Our Jefferson Court was 7 to 6. Any more public comment?
Larry's gonna come.
Larry?
I just wanted to say before we go too far away from it, that I have worked with Tom and his crew over in Raleigh, do the same job for the Raleigh Planning Board as I do for your board. And that the truck routes and signage, and the memos and control that they have put out to their people bringing materials in and taking materials out has been extremely effective. They work very well with Town of Raleigh and the police department over there. I wouldn't expect them to do anything less here. So, I mean, I think I just wanted to let you guys know that it's not smoke. He's really done a great job over there. And if you ask him to do the same thing here, I'm sure they will.
Well, that road that goes to the country club, as I remember it, is a lot better condition than what they're going on here.
It's a little better than Searle Street, but, you know, it goes by
It's two
Herring
way.
Farms. There's a lot of sharp turns. There's a lot of
Well, there's Dodge
sharp
Road, but
grasses.
there's the other road that's further east than that, which I would assume would be the,
That's Daniels, and they're not allowed on Daniels.
Not
Their truck
allowed.
traffic comes in and out through
Dodge.
past Herrick Farms, down Dodge.
You wanna move into, the school bus?
What I'd like to do is I'd like to touch on that, but, in our packet, at least from my perspective, I'm not speaking for anybody else on the board right now, but from my perspective, this has gone on for a while. We've had, I believe, 3 reviews, 3 responses to reviews, several responses to reviews. You know, about a quarter of this packet is responses and reviews, and I'll be honest with you, I like the distillation of it. 9 times out of 10, at the end of the process, we usually turn to Larry, and there's several pages of documents and all the bullet points that he brought up, and 90% of them, or 99% of them, no further comments needs to be addressed, no further issue, no further
Okay,
issues.
no.
Larry, since we have the benefit of having you here tonight, if you would, please, walk us through what is not resolved, starting at the top, going to the end. Let's make the best of this.
Okay.
Let's, I know it's,
Well, I think we've discussed
That way we
this
can resolve it.
traffic a bit, and we know there's a couple of loose ends here with respect to the truck routing, as well as that issue of sight distance to stone wall that needs
I believe the
more
truck issue is
clarification.
resolved, right? We're gonna redraw.
Yep, we are.
Done.
Done.
My 4th review was, which was the one just issued this Monday, really boils things down to about 4 or 5 items, a couple of which are overlap into the traffic review. The first one that was kind of a minor thing left out, and it may be more legal clarification here, but there is a parcel of land, parcel E here, which we have gone back and forth on, that was at one point in time, it was split off to make this lot a legal lot, if you will. And at one point in time, it was suggested that it would become part and parcel with the right-of-way of Lisa Lane. I didn't think that was a good idea for the town. Their last response was that it would be put into a homeowner's trust to take ownership and deal with the maintenance. I still had a question about that. What is a homeowner's trust? Who is going to take care of this parcel?
Could I just back up and get, maybe I missed some of the background to this.
Yeah.
That was all part of, so parcel E is being segmented off of what is now gonna be called parcel A.
Yeah, Lot A.
which Lot A is an existing home.
Yes.
And it had, at one point, included parcel E?
Yes.
And why are we segmenting that off again?
It had to do with making this a legal lot, which comes all the way down to here now. And without doing that, they would have needed perhaps a variance. They didn't want to go for the variance. They want to get rid of that parcel. So wanting to get rid of that parcel, how do we get rid of it was the question.
Well, I'm missing something here. Maybe it's getting late and I'm getting a little slow, but how does removing an area
It's
of
the
a
lot.
lot?
It's the
It's
lot
because
shape.
of the way the lot depth is measured.
It used to be a long lot with frontage on Searle Street. Now it will be a long lot on Lisa Lane with minimal depth off of Lisa, 90 degrees to Lisa Lane, this way. So that was the zoning issue with that lot.
Well,
But again, what,
yeah, I'm just not seeing it because,
Well,
I-
without backing up into it, you know, a couple or 3 months ago of how all this, I think you need to just take take what I say, what Rich has said, it would not be a legal lot without splitting that.
You'd be creating a non-conforming.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
someone's
Right.
gotta explain this to me, I'm really sorry, I thought I understood zoning.
is the
Can't do it.
idea that if it has frontage on Searle Street, that's what's considered frontage?
I'd have to measure it based
You
on the
can't
sideline.
transfer the.
It's because the lot depth is measured based on the angles of the side lot line.
But it's also.
The first thing that we did
size.
was meet with the building inspector, and this was the solution to the issue, and removing parcel E and having that be either in a homeowners association or part of the road was the solution to the issue.
Why
I'll be
did-
honest with you, I don't see how it has
I
lot
don't
depth,
get it, but okey dokey.
anyway.
Why didn't
But
you,
if
It does,
the
it
buil-
meets the lot depth
It does, with the,
requirement.
why didn't you suggest making that part of the road?
It's a mystery.
Because
Well-
it seems like that would be, to make that wider would make it much easier to turn in and out.
Well, this is a very large parcel, Tilly. This
Well,
is,
what's
this
the
is all
size of
that's
it?
needed for the road. You don't need all this other land. What would the town do with that? Except to have to manage down trees or overgrowth or drainage
You use it
issues
for
or,
a turn down lane or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, aren't we gonna need easements on it anyway?
no. Oh, there is a drainage easement.
What do
Well-
you mean, what would the town do with it? It's not ours. Why would we have anything to do with it?
If you put it in the roadway, it would be yours. That's what you just asked.
Well, not the whole parcel. I was thinking of just to make the road wider, to use part of it.
Well, you mean along here, or you could
Yeah,
take.
give it a
you-
wider
yeah,
opening.
Yeah, you could take it, but there's plenty of opening here with the radiuses that they have.
That's showing a 50-foot right of way right now.
It's right, it's 50
Exactly.
feet, and you
Right.
wanna enter Searle Street at 90 degrees, so widening that and having the road go like you're talking would only have you coming into the road at a improper angle, so I don't think it helps you, but.
Bottom
that-
line, who's holding it? Where's it going?
Yeah.
we were going to put it into a homeowners association, and it would be maintained, there'd probably be maybe like a signage, introducing the subdivision when you turn in. In addition to that, part of the issue with the bus route, we thought, okay, if everybody's complaining about the fact that their children have to be in the public ways, it'd be a nice area for the children to be able to stand off the roadway in this area. It wouldn't be anybody's property, there'd be no complaints. It would be basically everybody's property, and the kids
The
could wait
homeowner's
there.
property.
Yeah, but they could all, it would be specifically identified to have the kids wait there.
What if somebody got hurt there? Liability would fall to the homeowners.
There is no liability when you have an open easement for which there is no payment. It's section 183, something like that. I can't remember the exact section.
What is the size of that?
As long as you don't charge admission, there isn't any
So you're
liability.
proposing that that would be a bus stop?
It could be. If the town wanted that, it could be. It would be a perfect area, and it would be open and plenty of room for people to
We'll
stand.
get back to that.
That's
Larry,
my
you
plan, yeah.
satisfied with
Can I
that now?
comment on that? Can I
I'm
comment
sorry?
on that? I thought on a previous plan that we were right around where Parcel E's showing on that was a retention, like a drainage easement or a retention pond.
There is
There
further
is.
back.
Subdivision.
Yeah, it's
There
right-
is.
right in here.
Yeah, it's on
So how
Sheet
could you
6
use
of
that as
20.
space for people if it's a drainage easement?
Absolutely more than sufficient area to do
Well,
that.
we'll get back to that later. Are we satisfied with the ownership?
Well, normally in a subdivision like this, all your lots are sold off. And you don't have, and then the town accepts a road.
Mm-hmm.
There is no homeowners association.
Mhm.
So is there gonna be one for just that lot?
Sounds like it.
That parcel.
We're creating it for just that
It's
parcel?
very easy for me to create. It's just a trust to create, and every time I sell an interest in the parcel. Very easy.
I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
difficult, but it's unusual.
There's one in Pillsbury.
I was gonna say, there's one in Pillsbury, there's a few in Middleton. I don't do them routinely, but I do them.
But you're not creating covenants?
No, well, I mean, I'm gonna have restrictive covenants because it's a subdivision.
No,
But-
covenants for the individual lots, for the lot owners.
If Jill can make it work, I'd be happy if the town accepts. That's basically what I said.
Well, when this subdivision is done, will that retention be larger? perhaps, or
No, it'll be the same.
no change?
No, that's one they're proposing to develop in here. You're talking about the drainage
Well, they
area?
already have an easement for drainage, right there. It's already on there, as I understood.
Yeah, it's
it.
proposed.
Right.
It's proposed. It's
It's a
part of,
proposal,
and they're,
oh, okay.
yeah.
So it's,
And they're gonna improve that area.
Yes, we are.
The next one then, Larry. Your next point?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rob?
No,
Go ahead.
I guess recognizing that I have not been part of this process, I'm assuming that this board has had discussions about what, for lack of a better term, is a rather odd horizontal alignment of this entry road as it goes through this very thin parcel here, trying to create all of these lots. I'm assuming you all have gone over that.
no, but I'm glad you brought that up, because that was gonna be one I was gonna bring up.
Just to clarify for you, we saw an iteration at the very beginning where this came through under preliminary, where this was a loop road. It didn't have Grapevine Circle, it didn't really have the circle off of Vineyard Lane. It certainly didn't have that 50-foot right-of-way that you see there. This is probably the first real time that we're seeing all of the distinct elements that we discussed a little bit about. And personally, I thought it would look a lot different, but this is the first time we're actually seeing it in toto.
So this is the third review, and this is the first time you're seeing it in total?
Because we started out with the OSRD, the yield issue, and the preliminary, and.
Preliminary.
Okay.
And,
Well, I don't wanna,
neighbors
I don't
were-
wanna take you off track. You guys have got it, you're on track right now. I just, that just jumps out at me as something I just wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feel my way through, not making things go backwards and trying to keep things moving forwards, yet at the same time.
It would
Not
be-
missing anything. I get you. I get you. Larry?
A new, in the last two revisions, a new thing has appeared on the plan. Everything else has been here for me, with the exception of this 50-foot right-of-way. It's my understanding that the planning board asked the developer to provide this 50-foot right-of-way for access to the open space parcel F. And I have no issue with that. It is also required in the subdivision regulations to extend access from the end of a road to adjoining property if the board, in its opinion, understands that the property is developable. There is a intermittent stream which runs through here, bordered on both sides by a BVW. And so they have shown an access and future right-of-way easement off of that extension that you asked for, which goes across a resource area. I don't know if it's permittable. I don't necessarily, and I don't know the property, whether either of these two properties is developable. So I don't know if you're required to do that.
Well, Larry, just to be honest with you, you touched on 2 points there. The first was the right-of-way.
Mhm.
The second was these access easements. My understanding, I don't believe, at least maybe we lost something in translations here. When we were looking for access to parcel F, we saw some plans, but they weren't stamped plans. They weren't on this scale here. I know myself, I certainly wasn't looking for a right-of-way that would be providing frontage for houses. I was looking for an access, either an easement between houses that would lead to parcel F. My understanding is, I thought we had consensus from the board that the access easements would be removed. That was my
I recall that
understanding.
when the board was polled, that the board was more in favor of accepting parcel F without designation of those easements, because of the consideration of the resource areas that were in there.
That's fine.
That's why I sort of, this sort of surprised me to see it, like I say, all at once, to see it all at once.
And I believe that this was created to allow for parking at the end as opposed for if it was just an easement where there would be parking on Lisa Lane for people to have to walk in.
Right, but that's slightly different, you know, and, you know, it's whatever, when people say access, everybody has a different mindset, different picture. A 50-foot right-of-way that essentially, would that be a paved right-of-way? I don't understand, it looks like
There's
it's
details.
frontage.
Yeah,
It looks as though it's frontage for lot number 19 and lot
topo
number
sheet
20.
4.
They
shows it
have their
pretty well.
frontage with, if we took it out, but
Well, I'll find it.
Yeah,
This one, Reg?
TP4 down the bottom.
TP.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that parcel F was not buildable at all. You know, so
Well-
that was why it was a
Can,
donation.
can I take you just through it a little bit? Because we really haven't had a good chance to talk about it. But the right-of-way part, which is not included on parcel F, not the access easement, but the right-of-way, is paved. And it's paved down to where the hand is now, provides 3 parking spaces. It would also be access to the driveways for lots 19 and 20. Now, it's not, if, it's necessary to provide frontage if we provide a 50-foot right-of-way. If there is not a 50-foot right-of-way, then we don't need frontage, and we would have the frontage off of Lisa Lane, which is what it was originally.
Yeah, I can't speak for the rest of the board. I have some issues with the open space, that I'd like to bring up later, but I don't wanna interrupt from Larry's list here. Myself, an access to an open space does not necessarily have to be paved, in my mind. You can leave it permeable. The board might wish to have a very, very diminished drive. The point is, at this point, we're almost making another extension of a subdivision roadway. If you start to derive your frontage off of that right-of-way, we're essentially creating a court here without a cul-de-sac or a turnaround. This isn't special permit, and I'm uncomfortable with it. I can't speak for any of the other members. I'm uncomfortable seeing that as a right-of-way. That's just me.
So perhaps 3 spaces here and people could walk in through an easement.
Yeah.
Or,
Just
Gravel
take
road.
this and move it in here so they pull in.
yeah, or just a
And then
cleared.
these houses moved
A
up.
cleared entrance, with gravel, that would be to certain specs that, I feel comfortable with Larry figuring that out, so that we wouldn't, be destroying the hydrology too much, but, vehicle could go down for, being down the
I
end
don't
of
want
that
people
for
parking
HP
on
access.
Well, is there any concern about safety if this is gravel and is only parking and everyone
We could
else,
do a
these
turnaround
homes have access here
right away.
as
Okay,
opposed
as
to
long as
just
you can do that.
parking the cars up here?
So then what we could do is do a kind of a turnout in that right-of-way so that you don't have to park on somebody's private property, but just have the parking spaces up top. And then, I don't mind a gravel path going down, but there's something to be said about having an easement to allow people to park on private
I
property.
wouldn't have a
That's,
problem with having the parking down here.
That's what I thought we said.
Yeah, on the
Parcel F.
on parcel
that means
F
grow,
itself.
isn't that a crossing?
You-
I don't think
well,
you could do that.
You gotta retain.
Yeah, that's buffer, that's,
You got a 50, this is your wetland,
Yeah.
50-foot buffer, 75-foot, 100-foot buffer, so you can't
we
get
were
down in there.
outside of it.
And the other thing is, this is about a 6% slope, so,
Going down.
you know, coming down. So to keep that in check, and not eroding, if you didn't pave it, I think would be a maintenance issue.
Mhm. So essentially what you're saying is we can't get beyond there anyway?
Not without going to the Concom and getting some relief from them.
On foot you can, not by vehicle.
On foot, there's a footpath there
It's a-
now.
That was the
But
point.
you know, we aren't overly confident that you could ever build a road out there, under the current regulations.
Why not have your 3 spaces, parking
Right up
spaces
there.
up here?
We could, my point was that we could provide a a little turnout in the right-of-way so that people weren't parking on someone else's property. It would be enough of a turnout in the right-of-way,
So it'd be in
Perhaps-
just a widening, so that you could fit parking spaces in there.
Would we be able to pull that up, plan up just a little bit, Howard? Thank you. And, so essentially, where are the wetlands you're talking about?
Well, that's the intermittent stream right here.
So what are we providing an access to?
Well,
A
there's an
wetland?
intermittent stream, but it's traversable by foot easily. Or,
So all
know,
of this is wetland, all down
no,
here?
no, no.
No.
I'm seeing edge of BVW. Clarify for me.
Yeah, that's the
That's
south
the
edge
VV,
right there.
no,
Intermittent
Yeah,
stream.
Intermittent stream, that much.
Oh, so I have a wetland here and a wetland here?
I know,
A
but there is,
wetland here.
there's no intermittent stream. Can I,
It's written down there.
Approximate
No.
location of-
Larry, can I borrow your,
That's
your,
correct.
Can we have your pointer?
I think from meetings from here
Here.
on, every planning board member, if this is the process,
Here.
you all need to have those things. And the applicant
Yeah,
needs to have
really.
those things. This
Yeah.
using
It's gonna
words.
turn into a
So,
sword fight.
can I just,
This is bizarre.
Buy a half a dozen of
This is
them.
crazy.
Howard,
Yeah,
will you please?
this is-
Hands,
yeah.
I
I
know.
think we're talking here.
Shadows and,
That's true.
Kinda like your shadow puppets, but anyway.
so I'd like to answer the question, if
Absolutely.
I could.
The intermittent stream is not an intermittent stream? Is that what you're saying?
You wrote it down.
I'd like to answer the question, and I will. This is the wetland,
Okay.
okay? There's
Yeah.
one wetland, that's the A series,
Gotcha.
okay? And there's another wetland here, okay? And that is, I'm not sure, the B series, I believe.
I'm not seeing
And then
any
there's
flag.
an intermittent stream right here
Uh-huh,
that connects the two,
right,
from here
B.
to there.
Be on the road.
where it says intermittent
road.
stream,
Yes.
right.
So this is all upland.
Oh, okay,
This is wetland in here, where my pointer is,
okay,
and this is wetland here.
okay.
There's close to 9 acres of upland in the open space.
And what are all
Larry,
those
excuse me?
lines up there where it says stone trench and?
Larry?
Stormwater management that would be required to treat the runoff from the pavement.
So you would have to walk through the stormwater management pond?
It's not a pond, it's a grass swale.
Would always be dry? Dry bottom?
Yeah,
Except
Yes.
during storm, that's what it's.
Except
Oh,
during-
that's when it's raining.
Yeah.
Then it's
yeah, it'd be a dry bottom.
Which of your drawings is the existing conditions drawing?
There is one.
It's on the topo. There's,
It's overlaid with other information, topographical, the topographical.
It would be really
sheets.
helpful to have an existing conditions plan just by itself. It's really hard to read that stuff, but.
So, Larry, what do you think? A parking area where?
Up near Lisa Lane, I think in this area, and maybe this is another little area that the homeowners can take O&M for. Put the parking right here and have a footpath down here. Then you wouldn't need this if you had just the gravel or even a paved parking up here. It can be taken into the drainage system right here.
Well,
I will say this too, putting parking spaces there on the main road is more conducive to the public using them, because when you turn off and you start driving down a road, you start feeling like you're going into private property, and it's an uncomfortable feeling which discourages, I think, the public from sometimes using these parking spaces that are way off in the distance. So I like what Larry's saying there.
So we're thinking more of the parking spaces a little bit closer to, what is that, Lisa Lane? Is that Lisa? Or Great Lane?
Lisa.
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 Just have
Okay.
a footpath.
well, the only objection I could see is that the frontage on those, by Lisa Lane, it looks comparably small.
It's meat zoning,
Is there a way
I
to, is
realize
there a way to
that, but
redraw
it's
this so
just-
that the frontage is not
yes.
from the?
Like-
it's
that's the
front
way
end?
we originally had it, yeah.
Okay.
So yes, we,
Okay, so.
So
that-
lot 20
don't-
seems
we don't
to
need
be
the right of way
larger,
for
much
frontage.
larger than 19. And if you put a
It is.
parking space in front of 19,
We'll make sure that they comply with zoning, that we have
Well, if
sufficient
the parking
frontage.
spaces
I'm not
don't-
concerned about that. I'm just concerned about, you've got a house in there, and then you're going to put a parking space? I don't think a homeowner would like that.
No, they're over in here, Tilly. Not right in front, not over here. They're right here.
On the side.
They'd be right here between the two. And they still would have their frontage on Lisa Lane.
Oh, they keep
And
saying
they might
Lisa
redo,
Lane.
they're gonna have to redo their driveways as well to come off of Lisa Lane instead of where they have them now coming off of this.
Maybe orient the houses differently?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
As they were before.
Yeah.
They were oriented differently before.
What's the next point you have, Larry?
That's really it. I mean, we've hashed through 4 of these things, and, you know, I started out with probably 40 comments, and.
Easily.
And, you know, as you say, distilled them down to what we've talked about this evening, between traffic and this.
Excellent. I had 2 things I wanted to point out, if the board will indulge me. If you could pull back, yeah, you zoomed right in on parcel F. If you could pull back the view just a touch. And I don't wanna sound like I'm echoing what Tilly said, but,
Is there something you agree with?
are you kidding me? We even got some of the public to agree with us tonight, a decision we made. This is it's gonna be a full moon or something. I think what it all boils down to is waivers, and, there are a number of waivers that are being asked to make. Larry, I know you have your opinion on waivers, everybody has it. For me, I see it as a balancing act. To grant a waiver from the subdivision regulations, while they're not perfect, that it has to weigh a little heavily the benefits of what's being offered. Those benefits have to tip the scale for me to agree to a waiver. When we were talking about this parcel F, the open space in general terms again, I noted that, I think in my mind, I had a notion of more value, not so much per se with the open space, the usable open space that you could put a soccer field on here. I don't see a lot of real area where you could do that, but that it would provide connectivity from, and again, remember, we're sort of twisted around here, but if you went in that direction, what you would hit eventually, if you walked far enough, if you went straight up that way, you'd hit the East Main Street project, which we're permitting. So the soccer field, the baseball field, all the parking. And this parcel is smack dab in the middle of what we, in the open space plan refer to and as the greenway. As you go, where are we, Howard? I'm kind of lost there.
You look at the locust map.
Yeah, I'm trying to check out the locust map.
There you go.
And, again, the locust map is upside
Here
down. from
is
doing
there, and here's the Concom property right here.
Yeah.
Which is, here's Bernay Way, Pillsbury, and this is all the property you're talking about.
Yep, and as you go this direction, you're heading, where the L is in Locust. Where the L is in Locust is probably right there, in that direction is Martell Way, the Martell entrance to the Greenway. There are a number of intervening parcels naturally. It's a long-term plan. Again, I don't see the connectivity that gives this open space parcel F the connectivity to the parcel where, a little bit further over, Howard, with your little hand there. Yeah, that parcel right there, and I don't know.
The Muse parcel?
Is it Muse? Is that Muse? Is that Muse or is this Muse?
I'm sorry, you're right,
The
that's
lower
Muse.
Yeah, I'm all turned around because.
Muse is where the hand is, and I
Okay.
forget the other one, but it's owned by
Whatever that
4 or
blurb
5
is up
people.
there, near where it says sheet 2. Yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
right there. Is there any way that we could enhance the value to the town of parcel F by creating a corridor of connectivity, maybe 100-foot swath in there? I don't want you to lose your frontage.
I don't know that it could be 100, but we could provide a strip that gets you to that lot.
I was thinking of 100. 100 feels comfortable. Because.
How wide is it right here, Rich?
Why would it be if you didn't get your length of road waiver? Why would it be that?
Well, I don't know, we'd be looking at a different roadway alignment.
Mhm.
I'd have to go back and look at it.
But at any rate, it almost looked to me when I was very carefully scaling it out on my little mini plans that I got, because I didn't get full-size plans, that you could realign eight
Does the town,
and
is the town
9.
anticipating buying that property?
Well, I can tell you on the open space action plan, all of those parcels are in the action plan as desirable parcels for purchase.
Is Muse in there as well?
Mhm. Yes, because something that and again, we're segueing away. Again, I have to stand up here to do it, but over here is a conservation parcel. There's another parcel of land here. One of the things that I would hope would be that if you did get this configuration, that you would stub off here and talk to the water department, because you would be able to come through and make a connection to Renyard Lane. And from Renyard, you would effectively bridge
Talking about
the
Sawmill?
water.
Talking about Sawmill? Or,
Is it Sawmill?
yeah, cause Reynard is way up
Where's
by,
that?
133.
West of
Pillsbury, yeah.
Here's Sawmill. Goes around.
No,
Sawmill's
yeah,
right
you
there.
went
Bernay.
down.
It's Bernay.
Bernay is.
Bernay.
near
Bernay.
Pillsbury.
It's Bernay.
Well, when the water department was in, they were talking about coming off a Sawmill
Mhm.
with the water.
And that's a nice, easy one.
We
And
were
there's
providing
also-
we were providing a stub and have agreed to provide a stub so that you could get the Sawmill.
So you get Sawmill. What about a stub that might get you to Bernay? That in the record right now?
It's,
Wendy? Thank you.
we can give you a stub out there.
Mhm.
It's
For-
entirely wet.
For a Bernay tie-in.
Yeah,
Directional drill.
give you a stub out there.
If the stub's there, it can happen. If the stub's not there, it can't. Thinking of the future.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue
That's,
with that.
that's easy to do, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm seeing a hand in the back. Would you state your address, Mr. Ingraham?
Nelson Street.
Nelson Street?
We're with Tom in this whole development. Are you aware that on the edge of that, that you're showing there is completely swamp all the way down straight to Rosemary?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna use it for a greenway, it's gotta be on the other side of that, in between the development that comes off of Pillsbury and the stream.
You're talking about over here, sir?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't understand, what you're talking about a greenway where people can walk and so forth?
Well, the idea of the greenway is conservation land on the left and active recreation on the right as you go through a winding path.
Protect habitat mainly and
What is it?
wetlands.
What is it?
Have to protect habitat and wetlands, the other half
That's
for
the
active
whole
recreational
idea of a
purposes.
greenway with some trails,
And active recreational components along the way.
if it's dry.
Yeah,
And
so
it's,
you
and
have-
you
Very
just
dry.
told us 9 acres, that's pretty
There's-
good.
There's places.
Could that be a field?
There's no place between the two other than a walking trail, all the way to Spruce Pond
There's,
and Rosemary.
yeah,
You're going in the wrong direction, sir.
I'm coming from behind the Baptist church,
Mm-hmm.
straight down to Rosemary. And it goes right by the edge of this property.
To Rosemary. And
Rosemary.
yes, and that's where the recreational field at Main Street facility is being proposed.
No, you couldn't
Okay.
have a recreational field there, it's swamp.
Okay, so thank you for your comment.
Huh?
Thank you for your comment, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but we have a proposal to put a recreational facility where you're talking about. And I think we might be
At
a
the
little
end of-
confused
at the
on the
end of
map because
Roseburg?
of the way it's flipped.
No, behind the
Oh,
church.
but I think what I get out of it is that that's the way the water is flowing from this property.
Yeah.
Is that way. Yeah, I
No,
understand.
no, all the way
To
from,
East Main to
actually
Saul-
from East Main Street, all the way down through.
Yeah, to Sawmill. That's all in the back is all wet. Which,
This side.
even this project, which I wanted to bring up, you know, and I admit, this is fairly new to me. You have on here drainage easements for 5, 6, 8 of these lots. If that isn't an indication that there's wet areas here, I don't know what else.
Well, a lot of those drainage easements you're seeing are not because there are existing wet areas there. They're easements for piping and detention areas. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retention or detention areas, stormwater mitigation areas on the site with pipes leading from the road to them. So
Uh-huh.
that's what most of these that you're seeing are
Yeah.
proposed drainage easements for that,
Yeah.
not because of existing wet.
But isn't that very unusual? I mean,
Not really.
Really?
No, not really.
There's a lot of road here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of impermeable area being created.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
questioning. It appeared to me like that, but I'm glad you said that it doesn't necessarily mean that the lots are wet.
You have ponds behind lots 5, 6, and 7. Another one down on lot 10. Another one down on lot 13. Another one out here on parcel E, as we spoke about, and we're going to eliminate the one at the bottom of the 50-foot right of way. I think that's all of them.
Yeah. And my other concern about what Rob brought out, lot 4, 14, and 18 are extremely odd shaped, and I honestly thought we were frowning against any of that kind of lot figuration. And is there a way that you can correct that? Because this one here is 14, look at the 14.
Little
Yeah.
reverse flag lot, yeah.
And you got this pathway, and then you have where you're probably gonna put the house. I mean, to me, that's kinda ridiculous. Who would be, I would never be interested in a lot like that. How do you know what's yours and what's theirs? And, you know, I think that could have been cleared up. And lot 14 and 18,
14 is the one you were looking at. 18?
you know, 18.
I don't find it odd.
Where is 18?
This is
Yeah,
18.
that's where the hand is, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, so you got a point like right in the middle of the lot, and then the next, well, that affects 2 lots, instead of it straight, what's going on there? Why
Can
did
I
you-
ask if 18 is gonna be changed at all in 19 and 20 now that we're gonna be reconfiguring?
Well, the line between 19 and 20 is not there now, so there would have to be a new line. But 18 wouldn't change. Or it could change a little bit, but.
This is the drainage easement area down here, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And number 4 is the other one I thought was strange.
4, yeah.
Look at that one. It goes back and then it comes to.
Well, they all meet zoning, and that's what we're required to do.
I know that, but I'm talking about the design.
I don't find them, you know, unusual or you know, lots that are gonna be problematic.
I think Tilly, what comes up for me as I'm listening to you is that it seems like there's a number of waivers that are being asked for that is allowing them to cram in as many lots as absolutely they can fit on paper with little regard for what the existing conditions is. So when you talk about the lot number 4, he's absolutely correct. It meets some requirements, and so they can do it that way.
Yeah.
But I think that shape, immediately a flag goes up for me. And you have to do those shapes when you're trying to grab every little inch you can. So I caution the board on these waivers that you are going to grant. Maybe you've already granted them, I don't know, but.
None of the great,
No.
none of them have been voted on.
You know,
Yeah. As far as I could, you know, looking at it from the whole picture, I don't care too much for the cul-de-sacs here. I think that's outdated. I think that you know, you should have, I thought would make a complete turn, a circle, and do away with 2 cul-de-sacs. To me, that's extra paving, it's losing the shape of the lot. And if you had connected that all the way, it would have looked better, you know,
Look better for who?
for the people that are gonna buy these
No,
lots.
actually, the cul-de-sacs are very desirable, and people that live on cul-de-sacs are, those would be the lots that would be
Those are the high-value lots.
the high-value lots.
Those are the
So
big money
cul-de-sacs are good, and people like to be there. If you made a loop, you'd be putting a lot in the middle of a loop, and someone would have a road all around them. And
What, and the other issue about the loops is that the water line, we have issues with the water with the dead-end streets.
yeah, we're providing a loop through Lisa Lane, and we're also providing, we were providing one, but now we're gonna provide 2, in the event that the town wants to connect to other places.
Well, that was my issues.
Okay. But I agree with Tilly about 14. Lot 14 is a little bit unusual, to say the least. Not to go back to it, but lot number 9 and lot number 8, is there a way that you can see to amend that and move those lines so that parcel F can connect down? I don't think we ever really resolved anything on that. Tom?
We'll take a look at that
Mhm.
and see how much of that land we can give to, so you can get up to the other parcel.
So that we have
Yeah. I
the
don't know
Greenway
if it's
has
100, I
connectivity.
don't know what it is, but maybe it's somewhere.
It sure looked like 100 could make it. You get real close, real close.
So
Look that way to
you're
me.
talking about adding that area into parcel F and just not providing
Absolutely.
an easement, it's a
Um,
dedicated part of land for parcel.
Absolutely, not an easement, in fee.
So we'll get back to you.
A municipal donation.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a hand back there. Say your
Yeah,
name
Andy
for the
McLeod
record.
on Leaf Lane. I'd like to ask the applicants if there was a plan B for this plan where the waiver wasn't requested for the 2 roads that are too long.
I think what you're saying is the loop, the original loop that was wasn't that in preliminary?
Yeah.
That was
Well, on the-
preliminary, wasn't it?
On the January 20th letter from Mr. Graham to the board, it talks about a waiver that's being requested for the 2 roads that exceed the 800 feet maximum length.
Yes.
And it talks about that if the plan, by granting that waiver, it allows the applicant to get another 3 to 4 lots.
Mm-hmm.
So, what my question is there another plan that shows without this waiver being requested?
No, this is the plan that's being requested, because the waivers are being requested. Whether they are granted is an entirely different story. This board hasn't voted on that yet. And I think when that usually happens is when the board members individually do that scale, that balance test, benefit to the community, not in exchange for, but as mitigation for the waiver. And every board member thinks that differently.
But it seems like the density is too great. You could solve a lot of those issues by just sticking to the bylaws and not requesting that waiver. So where's the plan B? That's my
Absolutely,
question.
absolutely, yeah. And keep in mind, though, with the exception of that waiver, we are showing on this plan, the applicant's showing lots that do meet zoning.
Right, but
They do meet zoning, and,
I think
you
the
know,
sense of someone
that little
like that-
flag lot there, the lots that Tilly finds, and I find offensive, those are technically
but it's a
allowed
it's a
under your
sketchy
zoning,
plan. I
which,
guess that's part of my point.
point well taken, sir. I saw a hand.
Eric Rizzo, 4 Workers Place.
they meet zoning with the waivers granted.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted,
Mhm.
that's what.
Absolutely.
that's what I was
Yep,
asking.
yep.
And I just wanted to add something about what Tilly was saying with the cul-de-sacs.
Mhm.
I live on a cul-de-sac now. It is nice to live on a cul-de-sac. That's part of the reason people buy houses on them is to live on at the end of a cul-de-sac. And I'm sure the people of Lisa Lane that aren't benefiting from this development are pretty upset that their cul-de-sac's being turned into a road.
Mhm.
That being said, there's other issues that surround the cul-de-sacs, and I agree with the loop. It takes a town about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to plow my cul-de-sac, because the guy has to keep, and the town's paying them by the hour to plow. Whereas if it was a loop, it would be more, it wouldn't be a burden on the taxpayers in the future if it was just a loop to maintain the cul-de-sac and clearing it, especially during snowstorms.
Point well taken. Did I see another hand? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Kevin Duncan, 46 Hill Street. We're in a small town. We go to all the meetings, planning board, Concom. I don't see a lot of communication between the two boards. So the last Concom meeting, oh, this open space is a great thing for the developer to offer. The Concom didn't see a lot for the town, because they know the area, they've been out there, and it's like between the wetlands and this and that, you know what I mean? It's a nice scrape to put out there, but I just, my question is, what kind of communication is there between the two boards?
Have we
If
received
I
any
was running the
communication, Helen?
place,
Whenever the
I would
application,
have one member from each board attend each other's, but just a blue collar.
whenever there's an application that comes in, the submittal is distributed to all the town departments. They have 35 days to give their comments back to the planning board. Concom's having their own meetings, and we verbally talk to each other about how tomorrow morning I'll be talking to Concom about the proceedings tonight. So there is communication.
Did you get their proceedings from last week at the meeting?
No, we
regarding
regroup
this
once a
open
week.
space?
No.
No, so,
But I will.
okay. Just seems to be a little bit of, things could run better. Not this development, but probably,
Well, I
this
think,
is like the year 2014.
I think town government, it's a bigger issue than just Conservation Commission and Planning Board. It's a bigger issue, and I know one thing, that a lot of boards need a lot of help.
Yeah. You retired fella.
Almost retired.
Almost? Yeah, we strive to get, I do anyway, transparency among boards. I'm disappointed that the Conservation Board isn't on cable, because I think that would help a lot of
I think
issues
it
in
would, yeah,
town.
that's one thing I
You
picked
know,
up
and
right
keep
away.
people in, rather than hearsay stuff that goes around this town. Yeah.
Seems we've lost the chairman.
Yes, he wandered off, you know how this goes.
Rob, I'm curious, why would you like to see a existing, and I know an existing conditions plan, I know typically there's one provided, but what is it that
Well,
meets your,
Well,
what benefit would that offer?
well, the existing conditions plan, the benefit that would offer is there's one document that's easy to read, and you can understand the land very clearly, very simply. The way it's presented here, where you've got proposed on top of existing and then everything else, it's really hard, particularly in the small set. I'm sure it's a lot better in the full-size set, but it's really hard to tease apart what's existing and what's proposed. And if you're a layperson, which I'm not in this regard, I can only imagine how hard it would be to read. So, that's why.
There's a tremendous amount of data here, and trying to transform that into information is a challenge. I mean, it is a challenge.
I mean, this is what I do, and I'm looking at the drawings, and they're a challenge, no question about it, so I can only imagine.
They're very busy.
So that's.
They're very busy, Robert.
Does that answer?
And that's
Yeah, it
not
does.
this is for every public hearing that I've experienced.
We have another public
Yeah,
comment.
I just wanted to touch up on something, because I was trying to ask you earlier.
Sorry.
The right of way, is that gonna be posted?
The right of way?
Yeah, between lot, The 50-foot right of way.
This one
You know,
here?
the one that was.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be eliminated, or
But-
I'm hoping that's the message you receive when we see this next iteration.
All right, but the public is gonna have access to get to parcel F, right? From what I understand
Yes.
from a prior
That's,
meeting.
that's the intent.
All right. Is there gonna be a sign that there's a right of way there to park? Is it gonna be a known right of way, or is it just if somebody? What I'm asking basically,
It will be
at Prescott
posted.
Lane, there's a right of way to
Right.
get to wildlife management area, but there's no parking over there. And I know there was some issues over there because somebody bought the house and they weren't aware of the right of way. And every time somebody parked there, so they put up a sign that there's a right of way to walk into that wildlife management area. Over there. Will that be the same? There's gonna be a sign that this is a right of way to town property?
It would
That's a
be-
good
It would
point.
be clearly marked.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something you could
conservation
show
will
there.
do that.
It'll be, it,
Well,
the point is well taken.
It'll be clearly marked in the deeds for both properties will be burdened with.
from a legal perspective.
But it'll be marked so that the general public walking by will know. very clearly.
And Howard brings up an excellent point, because he, Howard brings up a point, be done by the Conservation Commission. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't believe that it would behoove the town to have this be a conservation parcel. It certainly is wet, from what we're hearing everybody saying that it has its wet areas. I see this more as a park and rec parcel to provide, again, connectivity to the other parcels in the Greenway.
So you're recommending no
A
CR?
municipal parcel, a municipal donation, not
So for it to be
Article 97.
donated to the town itself and not to the Conservation Commission?
precisely. And
Didn't,
that's,
didn't Jimmy Demento tell us that in back
The
of
chairman of
East
the Park
Main
and Rec?
Street,
Huh?
that, Conservation Board owns the back part,
oh, they,
and they own the front, so this would be the back part is the front part, so this,
this would be the connection, the connecting
so you
parcel.
would have conservation, then you would have Park and Rec, you have Park and Rec, conservation, and then Park and Rec?
No, what you'd have is, you would have Park and Rec, Conservation asked for all of the land, and it was given to them to the side of this. And again, very difficult to envision all of this, because this plan is showing north, down here by our right side. So a lot of people, it's very difficult to figure out exactly where this parcel is. Actually, I have to flip this around to match a map. I understand anyone's confusion why they're not following where this exactly is, but again, that's just my,
Down on the north side, Harry, that's.
I'm sorry, would you state your name, sir, for the
Conservation.
record? Sorry, would you state your name for the record, please?
Bill Ingraham.
Yes, Mr.
Down at the
Ingham?
bottom, it's, by, down the north side of this, it's conservation now, yeah, right out there.
Right there,
Yep,
right out there.
yep.
Absolutely.
All over that.
Yes, there is a conservation parcel there. Absolutely.
One of the notes for the definitive plan sheet says that during this process, the ownership would be determined of parcel F, so.
I think we just
you're
did,
hitting-
didn't we?
Yeah. I think
Good,
you're
what's the next point?
checking something off.
Thank you. There are only two other things I'm concerned about. Howard, I believe you created a graphic that showed where the bus stops are in this locus. Okay.
And
Walk us through this. Howard,
this
please.
is a result of a comment from two public meeting for this application, I think 2 meetings ago, where a planning board member requested that I contact the school to get an understanding of what the current bus route is. And so I took that information and placed it onto the map. And in brief, the first stop that's close to this, it comes down closer to the highway, but the first stop on pickup is A, makes a turn to B, goes to C, D, up to E, F, G, H, goes back down, and then returns back to the school. And then it's in reverse, I believe, in the afternoon. Here's the subject parcel up here, and the parcel E that was discussed earlier tonight would be down in this location right here.
So there's currently an existing parcel, stop on F.
At Searle Street here.
Okay. And one of the things that, and thank you, Howard, for creating this, because to just try to put this together in my head, I wouldn't have a really good picture until I see a graphic like this. I'm noticing that we're creating a very big neighborhood here from this view. The bus stops all seem to be pretty well spaced out. Kids really don't have to travel all that far. But I am noticing, and I wish I had a laser pointer, if the bus stop was somewhere up where 16-2 label is, you would, you'd be a lot better spaced out. Because if I'm a child that's up near 16, where that 16-2 is, can you put the hand up?
And then you drive up, collect it.
Right, I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna have everyone driving to these bus stops. And that's a natural thing, I see it all the time, especially cul-de-sac folks drive their kids down there, and you're gonna be jamming down Lisa Lane, and I think up somewhere in the middle of the subdivision is where the bus stop should be. And that's just my opinion. It seems like it would lay out well.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you,
So
Howard. I mean, I
you
don't,
know,
Maybe up
I
here.
don't know
I guess-
precisely where in subdivision, but I certainly know.
Probably there, if it was gonna be in the subdivision,
Okay,
would
you're the
be-
engineer.
would be, well,
It's up to
you know, it's really up to
superintendent
the
of
school
schools.
department where they want to go.
Well-
But from a traffic standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
the bus, I know at Pillsbury, the bus will not come in and go up and turn around in the cul-de-sac and come out. They wanna be on,
Precisely.
on
They
a
wanna be
route.
in a through road.
Right.
Mhm.
So, you know, a natural spot would be the intersection of Vineyard and Lisa. If,
Where
if
is
they
that?
wanted to be in the subdivision. But it really
Where is that,
depends.
Howard? Can you show us? Oh, there you go, thank you, thank you. Who has the laser? Oh,
They have a distance too, you know, that at a certain point, the buses aren't going to them. And at a certain point they are, and I don't know what that distance is off the top of my head.
Well, I know,
But you're absolutely right.
the reason I know is on Pillsbury, we were required to, or the developer was required to build a bus stop, which the bus company decided that they wouldn't go to because it wasn't, they didn't wanna go in and turn around and come back out. So,
'Cause
my
it's a
point
dead
is that
end.
it's really up to the school and the bus company to determine where it would be. And I don't think the developer would be opposed to putting it anywhere, wherever they ask us to put it, we'll put a bus stop.
well, why don't you show it somewhere near there, and we'll ask the school department, and I have a funny feeling they'll acquiesce. As long as it's on the through road. Pillsbury was a dead end,
Right.
so we understand that.
Well, I think with 24 homes there,
Plus,
It
a
might
lot
be
of,
its
a lot
own
of the people on Lisa
bus.
Lane will use that bus stop instead of going all the way out.
Yes, they will.
They have no
Yes,
problem.
they will.
Show it on the intersection.
Absolutely, they will.
that could be a whole busload, so it might not be a big issue.
26 kids,
Make one
26
stop.
homes, yeah, might very well be its own bus stop. Did I see hands?
Yes, you told me to hold my, Eric Rizza, for Wilkins Place.
Oh, that's right,
You
you
asked me to
remember.
hold my comments about the bus till later on.
The other thing is, you're still here with the process.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I was, well, I've learned a lot through this process, believe me.
You should be an associate member of
I
this
should have listened
board.
to some of my neighbors at the beginning, too.
You should be an associate member of this
I
board.
wish I had the time, I would. One thing you just comment on, most of the people who drop their kids off at the bus, they will not go into that cul-de-sac. They drop their kids off in the morning and then they go to work. So they're gonna go out White Pines and take a ride on Marlboro. They're not gonna loop all the way into that loop to drop their kids off there. My concern with the bus stops weren't where they were gonna place them in the cul-de-sacs, was the timing of the bus pickups related to the trucks coming in and out, where we have 2 pickups a day and 2 drop-offs a day. And there's kids running around the street at that times, during that hour and a half period, that if the truck traffic could be limited.
Can I time out here for a minute? Just sequence here. There are no houses till there's a roadway.
Correct.
Okay, so you're building the roadway first,
Yes.
and it's a safe roadway. And then you're building the houses.
So there's no trucks coming prior to the
Well,
roadway?
there's no kids. So there's
No,
houses.
I'm talking about my kids. My kids go down to the bus stop at White
Oh, oh,
Pines
oh.
and Searle
Okay.
Street, or
Okay.
they go down and take a left onto Searle and Field.
Okay.
I'm not worried about the kids that are coming into the development.
Okay.
Well, I have a concern for
Of course,
them,
yeah,
but obviously,
that's where my.
I'm worried about my kids and the kids that are there now.
Uh-huh.
They still gotta take the bus in the morning while
I
they're building
understand.
this development,
I
correct?
understand.
All right, that was my concern, the truck traffic during the bus pickup times that are currently being picked up at D, E, and F right now.
Mhm.
While they're building this development, there are gonna be kids that are still using those bus stops, correct?
Yeah, well, the trucks are gonna be 100 feet behind those buses, and the lights are gonna be flashing. They have to obey the,
Kids still run across the roads without looking.
well,
Your point, I think, as one board member is well taken, and when we're talking about schedules and times of construction, as one board member, it will
That's
still
what-
be part of the discussion.
Thank you, that's what I was
I-
trying to.
thank you. So we're gonna show a bus stop, right?
Yep.
Good. And something that was a little bit unusual, and it's always been a niggling little something in the back of my mind. Where are the streetlights?
Oh, he's asking about the
There's a
streetlights, Richie.
comment in our report that that streetlight electrical plan will be part of the, to come after the board makes its decision, the electrical and streetlight plan.
The Georgetown Light Department does the design for the
Yeah.
streetlights.
Excuse
that's
me?
an-
I'm sorry? So in other words, I have to decide on something before I see it?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying the light
I think that's what
department.
the light department's saying.
the
Am I
light-
missing something there?
The light department does their design after the subdivision is approved. That's my understanding.
I
I'm
think,
missing something here.
yeah,
It must be getting very late or something, because that doesn't sound right.
well, I think, now I'm going back from when I used to be on the board, but the way it used to happen then was that the light fixtures were shown on the plans, they were coordinated with the other utilities. they-
Location?
Yep.
Right.
They were coordinated with the trees. So it was all coordinated, and the light company took that plan, and if they had to modify something because of some construction issue or constructability issue, they had the right to do that. And that's how I remember the plans. Now, I don't know what's happened since I've been on the board, but there needs to be some discussion about that then, I think, that process. Whether or not they have the right, I think it behooves the town to coordinate the design of lighting now, not after the fact.
This is really the first subdivision that came through with our new manager on the electric department, so.
Okay, so there's.
He'll weigh in, I'm sure, and I'm sure there can be a schematic done for lighting locations. But most likely they will change, because once they get into the power requirements and everything else. so-
Yeah, but I mean, you know, the placement of poles and the placement of, you know the type of light fixture, you know the foot candles, you know the lumens, you know what on-center placing to put them. That should be done now
Mhm.
as part of electrical engineering, as part of the plans. And it should not be up to the light department to design the lighting. for
I'm not saying that it's
subdivisions.
up to the light
I
department.
understand that,
I'm
but
saying the light department does their design after the, is approved. So the
I
lighting can
hear
be
that.
shown on the plans now.
Lighting?
And they should be.
Underground
I think
utility.
they should be as one.
All of it.
I guess if the planning board insists that the lighting be shown on the plan, we'll put the lighting on the plan.
Sounds like a great suggestion, thank you. I'm hearing a lot about sight distance on Marlboro Road and something about the fix. Is there anything formal that we've seen?
I don't think so.
For the Marlboro, this is the Marlboro Penny, right?
Yep.
So the one, yeah, we didn't we provide that in the comment letter from MDM, didn't they provide
You got a plan showing that? I mean, I certainly believe your engineer, and I believe you, but it would be nice to have a plan showing that Larry could actually review.
No, absolutely. I thought, Larry, that I had sent that when I sent back
The only thing was
the
some
comments.
wording
from
that you could cut the bank back and increase the site distance by 40 feet, that's all.
A narrative of it?
And I gave you, okay,
Was
and
there a
then I
plan?
didn't send you that little plan with the line and the,
I don't think so.
okay. I thought I had sent that with the comment letter.
Do we have something stamped?
We can get you something.
Was it you
It
or
would be.
someone else that drew it, or?
Did you draw it or did Dan Mills?
I drew it in conjunction with Dan.
Did we bring all the letters that we
No,
received?
nothing's, this was our comment, this was
Um,
their answer, their answer.
From the attorney, from the neighbors,
From the attorney? What attorney? I'm sorry, Tilly, what?
Did you write
what-
a letter, something about LID?
LID?
Response.
I don't know what that is.
It's not what you're saying, I don't like that.
Oh, the low impact development?
Yeah.
The statement,
Which is the way.
no. Larry, you made a comment about
No.
a statement of low impact development being on the plans or something.
Yeah, well, we have a hard copy bylaw, our rules and regs that indicates that there should be a low-impact development statement. And
And I had
I
discussions
understand
with,
the electronic version, it's not there. So,
I thought it
I don't know
was
where
there.
we are with that.
I thought it was there, but the statement is the statement, it's just,
Statement is a statement, and, you know, they did.
I believe that was provided, I thought I read it.
So,
Did not provide it.
Okay.
The E-code version does not have a requirement for a low-impact development statement. It's not there, there's no mention of it. So, I mean, I could do a statement and explain why we didn't use it, but it would be outside of the regulations, the subdivision regulations that apparently are the valid regulations.
and Rich and I had a discussion about that, about the statement to LID. But the bylaws don't have, what was he making a statement of adherence to?
right, I mean, basically, the statement's gonna have to say, something to the fact that it was considered but not applicable in this, and a different design was implemented.
What did I read, your response to that?
That was the
Comment?
comment response.
Is that what I read?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But by subdivision, laws, it doesn't say anything about the computer or email. It only says that you're supposed to be getting the subdivision regulations from the planning office and the town clerk. It doesn't say anything about putting it on email or at all.
Well, they need to be the regulations that are adopted and approved by the Attorney General.
Right.
No.
Yes,
what-
well,
what-
they absolutely
What,
100%.
what they need, the way it works is that they are on file in the town clerk's office. And when they are not on file in the town clerk's office, it's because they are on file in the planning board office. And the
I-
printed version is the correct one.
And there is-
E-code is just a company.
And there is a little
So the
blurb
one
on the
that's-
bottom of that website that you're referring to that says there's an amendment for subdivision regs 2011, I think is the date. So there is that right there on it if you wanted to look at it, but it's not required by law. It only says planning board office and it says the town clerk.
I was to the planning board office on 2 occasions and directed to the E-code as the correct version of the subdivision regulations, so. I'm happy
And to my knowledge, the printed version and that E-code are one and the same, are identical.
What
Every
are-
time I checked it.
Yeah. What is
every
the
time I checked
specifics
it.
for the LID that they have applied? Usually, LID saves you a lot of cost, easier. What particular regulations is the LID applying here in his subdivision?
Well, what LID would go or would suggest for a subdivision and roads like this would be no curb, country drainage, swales, driveway crossings with culverts under, swales leading away from the roads. That's
Porous
not,
pavement.
excuse me?
Porous pavement.
Well, yeah, if the
Mhm.
soils were acceptable.
Mhm.
That is not what they've done here. They're using, and the radius is, slope granite curb, bituminous curb elsewhere, piping away from the roads, the catch basin collection system. You don't have the culverts under the driveways. So this is really not, a design that employs low-impact development.
And another example of that, Tilly, might be, I'm not sure where the discussion has gone on the cul-de-sacs all paved issue. I'm not sure where the board is on that one. But, you know, low impact would certainly say you don't pave the cul-de-sac. You know, you have landscape in the middle.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
We touched upon that, yeah. At the beginning, and we went with, I believe the consensus was pavement.
Oh, you ended up going with all
Because
pavement?
this is going to be a public road, a publicly accepted road.
Why did you, oh, whatever.
Never
mind, you don't need to, you've made your decision, I don't wanna get into it.
Go to.
No, it's done here, it's over with.
It was maintenance of the center. That was, in my recollection, why.
That's a.
I'll show you a couple.
That's a poor.
I'll show you a couple of
that's
pictures.
Poor excuse.
But anyway, it is what it is. Well, streetlights sort of ended for me. Anybody else? Billy?
No, I think that's, Larry, anything
Tim?
else?
No?
Tim?
You mean in general about the subdivision?
Let's bring it up now. I mean, if you have a concern about it, I mean, I think what's gonna happen, from my perspective, it sure sounding like, Rich is gonna go out and redraw some plans a little bit and bring all our comments in together.
Well, I guess if I had any comment, it's not in particularly, it's not in the design so much as in, I guess, it seems like arsenic is the hottest thing in Georgetown all of a sudden. And there's gonna be a lot of earth moved and disturbed and hauled in and out, and, or maybe not in and out, but it's certainly gonna be a lot of earth moving going on. And I wonder if it would be prudent to do some arsenic tests in, like, the critical areas where there's gonna be a lot of dirt moved around, a lot of earth moved around. I know one of the residents had put together a list of, like, I don't even remember, a dozen or more concerns early on in this process, and that was on the list.
The testing is short money.
Right.
It's a non-issue as far as money is concerned.
Right, and maybe it's not relevant, maybe there isn't, maybe it's very low levels there, but maybe it's not. And,
It's
you know, from the neighbor's safety standpoint, it might be good to just know.
I've been asking on the turf committee, I've been asking to find out how the other towns are dealing with this, because this, you know, I know that this is not a new issue. And, you know, everyone's struggling right now with, are we gonna be doing this for every project that the town does from here on in, kind of thing, and it's a reasonable question, and, there's just, so far, I haven't been getting any answers.
There's gonna be more earth disturbed here than there is at the Pembroke School project.
Oh, yeah.
Will there
By
be, and
a
how much
factor of 2 or
dirt
3.
coming in? Will there be any soils coming
So,
in?
if it's a concern, I think, and I remember hearing, it's not a big dollar item to do the test.
The tests are not.
The mitigation is another issue.
That's the issue.
But I think it's worth at least going the step of the testing.
I would, for subdivision, I would agree.
Are you bringing in soil?
There might be some brought in, it's mostly a balanced site. There might be some select material coming in and for road sub-base, but, we anticipate making most of the material out there, so there should not be a lot coming in.
The only,
My 2 cents on that, you're making a roadway. So all the area that you're disturbing, you're covering with pavement, you're capping.
It has to do with the construction process. If it's over the 20 parts per million or 40 parts per million, whatever it is, whatever that threshold is for an imminent hazard, those are the ones you need to deal with, whether it's capped later or not.
And it's not just the roadway, I mean, you're gonna be digging cellar holes
A
and,
lot of
septic,
regrading of the site,
septic.
yeah.
I mean, you're gonna move a lot more earth than the Pembroke
And
School.
what is the town's liability?
I'm not concerned about the town, I'm concerned about the neighbors. And
Airborne?
that they had,
Airborne?
they had expressed a concern about it early on,
Uh-huh.
and we never addressed it. And I think that going forward with any large-scale project like this, that involves this much manipulation of the earth,
Mhm.
I think that it's worth investing whatever, a few $1,000s, I have no idea, but it's not, you know, it's not a lot of money just to see what are you moving around? Are you,
I have to think about it.
I think it's a good idea. You know, for their own protection.
yeah, I mean, if it's a little 3-lot subdivision on a court, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But this is pretty large scale, what's gonna be going on.
But aren't they both private developments?
Well, I don't care if it's
Whether they're-
public or private,
Is
that's
there-
irrelevant,
You're saying scale is the
Right.
the determinant.
right?
Interesting.
I think it's gonna become an issue, and to me, it's already like,
It's a big
if-
issue.
it's already an issue.
And it's money.
I mean, now they want more money to cover up asbestos-laden soils over at the middle high school.
Yeah.
You know, and they're saying 150,000, yeah, horse's ass, 150,000.
An interesting concept.
The testing would be minor.
Harry, the only other item
It's
that
worth
I-
a look, that's all. I'm not saying it should be mitigated or not, that's not,
Yeah,
at this point, let's just see what it is.
yeah.
Rob?
I agree. I wanted to ask Larry if, I noticed in some of your older letters and whatnot about buffers and retaining buffers and holding onto those. Was that able to take place?
Yeah, if you look at the plan, they started out along this line of back of these lots here without any buffer at all.
Yeah.
The first revision of the plan, they proposed to come out 15. We had asked for 25, and then the next revision of the plans, and the ones you're looking at, the date is a 25-foot buffer along here. And then there is also a buffer along lot 22, which goes up this way, wraps around that little corner right there. In addition, not on this sheet, but if you look at the other sheets, there's a limit of work line that where it doesn't follow the buffer zone line, it comes up and they have a limit of work, limit of clearing line now designated on the whole property.
Great.
So I was happy that they,
Great.
came through with that.
Okay.
Okay. Rob, good?
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah.
Paul? Bill? Howard?
Yeah.
Any other comments from the public?
I have one last question.
Certain.
As of now, Searle Street is one-way, no trucks. Is it in the plans to change any of that? 'Cause as you put this new road coming out, just to get it onto Searle Street, there'll be a lot of construction right at the end. You're gonna close the street off during construction.
Pardon me? What's happening here?
Well, can I use your pointer there for a minute?
Larry?
At the end of Searle Street, that's proposed as a brand-new road
Uh-huh.
coming out.
Right.
Searle Street's a one-way, no trucks, all the way. Is any of this proposed to change into two-way or trucks allowed? How do you plan on dealing with the construction rate in here?
We already
W-
discussed
w-
that.
I think we discussed that earlier, sir, and my
Okay, I
understanding
might have
is
missed
that
it, sorry.
it comes up from Lisa, comes up from the existing Lisa, and it exits right there on that corner.
And no trucks will be coming out, right? 'Cause it's no trucks allowed?
No, trucks will be coming out.
Thank you.
Yes.
I thought we were talking about trucks going out,
No, they'll come
Lisa
out
here,
here, and they'll turn
taking-
left on Searle,
Right.
right,
yes,
on
yes,
Fieldstone.
yes.
Right.
Wasn't that what you were asking?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And
Yeah.
they were going to Fieldstone.
Right, they're
And
coming
then
out
come up.
Searle.
Yes,
Yeah.
Just for the construction, Kevin.
Just for this construction?
yeah.
That was the graphic we showed earlier with the, and that's gonna be redrawn to show the new way. Okay.
So that is what's proposed.
That is how I believe this board would condition the truck traffic, is my understanding.
Right.
That would be a condition, we would impose that upon them. And I'm sure it's one that they'll be happy to cooperate with.
I have one last little question, I
Do it.
think.
Do it, get them all out now.
That stone wall
Stone wall,
that is
Tilly was
affecting the sight distance.
Yeah.
It seems like Larry's of the opinion that that should just go away, and you guys were of the opinion that it could be cut down to 2 feet. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I think they said they do have control of it, and they could cut it down to ground level and straight in that area.
Could or
That's in that parcel E?
Well, that's, you asked
We're,
that.
we're
they
gonna provide
more detail.
whatever removal is necessary to gain the sight distance that we're showing on the plan. I don't think it's zero. The grades are a little bit different on each side of the wall, so I think that's where some of the confusion came from. But it's 2 feet from the lower side, which would mean the wall is about a foot high on the higher side. And if it needed to come out entirely, we would do that.
I mean, is there any functionality to it? It's gonna look kind of funny to be a foot tall. Is there a functionality? Is it defining a property line, or is
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it defines a straight line right through here. Stone wall is here and right through there. It's right in that corner that it needs to be modified.
Well, I guess my only comment is I'd just like Larry to be on board with whatever it is solution you come up with.
Absolutely.
Can't you
He is
save
our
some of that stone wall?
resident expert.
And it won't be left so that it looks, that it looks odd. It won't be left in that state, I assure you.
Okay.
Gary, can I make a suggestion on the street light, instead of them doing a street light plan,
Mm-hmm.
ask them to meet with the light department and have them coordinate it with the light department so we don't go back and forth. I mean, if they work with the light department to come up with a street light plan, present it to us.
Mhm.
Now you've got the controlling, the jurisdictional agency there besides yourselves.
Right.
Ask them to coordinate that before they present it to you.
That
Light
probably
department.
sounds like a really
So
good idea.
we're happy to do that, and let me just explain the process. The electric department does not do the design. They send it out to a sub-consultant, they do the design. What we didn't want to do, because there is more infrastructure design than just the streetlights, there's the whole electric system from Searle Street down to the plant needs to be brought up from single phase to 3-phase, and then all the transformers need to be placed, and then the streetlights. What we didn't want to do was put the streetlights on there and have it be a preliminary thing and not make sense.
Right, but this board's only interested really in the streetlights, not, not how the power is gonna be upgraded and how it's gonna get there and around this, looped
Yeah,
around.
you
the
don't have to
substation.
show all the rest for us.
I'm just saying, the light department probably has a good idea where they would normally put streetlights at the intersection every 150 feet of property lines, blah, blah, blah.
But it's interesting. On the one hand, I think it's a great suggestion. On the other hand, for the very reason that they send their lighting out to get it engineered, when push comes to shove on a certain pattern of the lighting, and where it may be going in relationship to the site plan that they're designing, who calls the shot, the light department or you guys? And
I can just tell you, in almost every community that we work in, we get the subdivision approved, then we send the plan out to whatever the utility is, whether it's Georgetown Light or Reading Light or, you know, National Grid, whoever is gonna provide the lighting, and they design it and it goes on the plan, and I've never had a problem where the planning board said, we don't like how the utility designed the lighting. So that's normally how it goes.
Well, no. It may be in your experience.
Meet Rob, our resident light trespass specialist.
No, in our experience,
He's-
it's just the opposite.
Yeah, Rob,
We design the lighting, we locate it, and we work with the lighting departments.
So would it, essentially, they considered it to be like a minor modification?
It's in the regs.
Or an insignificant modification to the plan after the fact? In those other communities? I mean, you already have an approved subdivision plan.
Harry, I would just say, if they're willing to do that, let
I-
that just move forward, and then the plan will come back and
Yep,
take a look at it.
we'll get the lights put on
And
in
with those
conjunction
guys.
with the light department.
That's a great idea.
And that'll probably work out great.
Yeah, sure. I'm just wondering how other communities do it from a permitting point of view. If they do it, I'm sure they do it the way you said. I'm just wondering how.
Some do it that way, others don't.
Yeah. They must do it as a modification or something.
No, they just say that the lighting, that the electric and lighting will be designed by whoever the utility is and placed according to that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just a note that goes on the drawing that's approved by and then the lighting company takes care of it.
Interesting.
I mean, you
But
you
this
can't
way
move
we
it
get
from,
developed.
it's
This
in
way
the right of way, and it's between the
proposed to
roadway
us.
and the layout,
We
so you
get
can't
the
move it
benefit
from left to right. I mean,
Look at it.
those are gonna be the locations, you're gonna move them along the road,
Down the street.
Yeah.
and they'll be placed at the corners, and there's really not, there is light trespass from a street light onto private property, just as the nature of the street light.
Show the plan.
You can't eliminate it. It's not like a
Best
site
you can.
design where you can place lights so that there's a cutoff shield and it doesn't go onto private property. But because of the location of streetlights, there is light trespass. It's the nature of it.
Bottom line is, we'll meet with the light department, we'll get it on the plan.
That's great to hear. Any other comments? Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to continue this. Are we looking at,
I would
May
suggest the
28th?
second meeting in May because
May 28th?
of town meeting. and-
So moved.
Okay, motion by Tim to continue to May 28th, 2014. Is there a second for that?
Oh, yes.
And Bob seconds.
I might not make the 28th.
You need to make the 28th because the board will be reorganizing.
I don't think I can make the 28th. I might be in Florida.
Okay. You might be, or you will be?
Yeah, I might. I haven't made my plans indefinite, but I have to be down there. I don't know what day. I
Okay,
have
well,
to be
then
down
we'll
there.
hope
I
that
have
you're
to be-
there.
I have to be down there by the 22nd. You wanna know? And I don't intend on turning around and coming back.
It's too hot down there then.
Oh, it's miserable.
You've been having a nightmare.
I
I don't like
have
light.
my high
Green
school
hell.
graduate.
His mess, missed a meeting.
But about the streetlights, it
She's
says
already missed one.
C,
Did
365,
you already miss one
35,
meeting?
C.
Yeah.
The exact
can't miss
location
another
of the
one.
streetlights is determined by the manager of the municipal light department. The streetlights shall be paid for by the developer. Underground distribution systems shall be provided for any and all utility service, including electrical and telephone. Poles and any associated overhead structures of a design approved by the planning board after consultation with the electric light manager.
It sounds like
We're gonna do
they've
it.
delegated that consultation.
Okay.
Just a point of order, I think Ms. Evangelista had missed one meeting, so if she misses another meeting, she can no longer vote on this matter.
I didn't
Because
miss any of your
I
meetings.
thought, I just asked you, I thought there was, I
Yeah,
remember.
I didn't hear your question.
Oh,
So-
I thought, are you certain, because I remember it was a bad night.
Nope.
Well, we'll certainly check on it, and with 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll have a quorum for
He
that
can-
night.
I apologize, he cannot vote on this matter.
I didn't say he could vote.
Oh, you said 1, 2, 3,
I said with 1,
4.
2, 3, 4, you will have a quorum. I did not say he would vote.
Right, but, I mean, I think it's something that the applicant needs to understand if they're gonna need to have, you know, a unanimous vote or not.
Absolutely, and I
We can
That's my
put it
point.
off until,
understand.
June.
I think you wanna balance.
Well, that's why I
um,
just, I, for some reason, I thought.
moving
that you
forward
missed
with
one meeting.
this versus, how long you wanna put it out.
Well, I don't wanna put it off, that's my point, but I mean, the board has to also.
Well, you're the representative, what you,
Well, I
what'd you
would like to
suggest,
be
Ms. Smith?
held at a meeting when I have a full complement of a board, that's why I'm asking if
You wanna
facility.
push it out a little further?
No, I'd
Why
ra-
don't
we could
take the 28th
accelerate
if
it.
she's not gonna be there,
Well,
we
that's
can
why I
make a
just wanna
decision.
find out, we can find out right now if she missed or not.
I don't have any Mullins filled out for this. Maybe
don't?
it was
Okay.
with the OSRD.
Perhaps, alright, okay.
I was here, I'm telling you, I was.
I know, for some reason,
Are you all done with the conservation board? I doubt it.
Excuse me, can we, there was a motion on the floor for 528.
I'm not gonna be here.
You're not gonna be here,
No, I'm not gonna vote for that.
you're not gonna vote for that,
No.
okay.
The next meeting is in June on the 11th.
June on the 11th, you wanna modify that motion, Tim?
Sure.
And make that date 6/11/2014. Want to second that, Bob?
Yes,
Okay, I'm glad. All in favor of
Can I
continue?
make a little discussion? We're in a, there's no.
The applicant seems to be looking to make a comment, and I'll accept it.
If there's any way we could keep the 20th, if Tilly hasn't missed any meetings, she's allowed to be excused from one meeting, is that correct?
yes,
I'm
that,
sure we can bring her up to speed. I like to keep the process going and come back in on the 28th and get through a few more issues, and then when Tilly comes back the next meeting, we can bring her up to speed and just kinda move this thing along. It's been a long time. If that's a possibility, I hope you consider it.
So here we have the applicant wanting to move forward on the 28th. What's your pleasure, folks?
Well, that's what he wants, that's what he gets. Let's go with the 28th.
So you're going with your original motion?
I'll go back to my original.
Original motion is for 5/28/2014. Bob, do you second that again? That's seconded. All in favor of
Just
continuing to
little
5/28? Discussion, sure.
Sorry, just wanted to.
Sure.
Is there, I'm aware of how long the applicant's been in front of the board. Is there a way that, for everybody's effectiveness and efficiency, that coming to the next meeting, whatever issues are going to be put on the table that are going to be considered new, that if there are new issues, that it's understood that all of us do our work well in advance, so that we don't keep having meeting after meeting for these guys who so that we have a conclusion to this process. It's been going on a long time, I'm aware of when it began. So, that's what the discussion's about. So that we understand when we come to the next meeting for this, that everybody has done their due diligence beforehand, and not all of a sudden come to the meeting and just all of this new stuff shows up.
How soon do you think you could have all the
Good
revisions
point.
made to the plans? Darn, I mean, they're not.
You will have it
substantial.
by the 28th, right? A week prior to that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
The reason why I'm asking is
It'll
because.
it'll be at least 2 weeks prior.
Great. All in favor of 5/28/2014, say aye.
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 Just to go along with what you're saying, if we can
Motion
get those,
carries.
then we can get all the full plans submitted to the board members, full size, so the full review can be made.
I think that'd
That
be
was an
great.
A, right?
I'm an
You're, okay. So motion carries 3-1 with one abstention.
What do you have a list of what he's going to come in with changes? Do you-
Yes.
do you
No,
know
he
what-
has the list.
do you have a
He's the
list?
engineer, it's his job. If he messes that up, he'll get fired.
I will accompany the changes with the list of things that have been changed.
And we're gonna notice. We're good like that. We're real nitpicky like that. Thank you.
I just want to quickly talk about two things. I took a look at the budget for the planning office and the planning board, and we still have plenty of money left to spend.
With plenty of money.
And
Plenty of money for one person is not plenty of money for other people.
Well,
I'm sorry,
we've
it's not a value judgment there.
Wendy and I have been pretty diligent in being efficient with our funds. What I am in the process of doing is looking into purchasing a scanner, full-size copy scanner, so more of this type of presentation can occur because of older documents being oversized. So,
You're talking about a plotter scanner? Like a
it's
full-
on an all-in-one, you scan, you plot,
Okay.
and everything else. Now, the expense is about $4,000 to $5,000, but because of our permit tracking software, the building inspector has the ability to pay for about half of that. So, that's gonna be something that'll be coming up before the end of June,
Wouldn't that-
requesting it.
I think it's a great piece of equipment. Wouldn't that be something that the town can share, that, as you're just saying, that the building inspector can also, so?
All the
share
land
some
use
of- share
departments
some
would
of the-
use it.
Share some of the cost
So
of that?
for- Absolutely, the,
Conservation
yeah,
board.
the last plotter that was purchased before the one before was shared by 5 departments, the cost was split by 5 departments.
It's shared by all the land use departments. It would be
Yeah.
available to any town department. The problem that you're mentioning, though, is Concom and zoning don't have an annual fiscal budget, really to speak of. So they can afford the paper clips, the binder clips,
Okay, fair
and some
enough.
reprographics, but
Those who can afford it?
they,
do, and-
occasionally they kick in and pay for an ink cartridge for the color plotter.
You should have
That's
gotten those
reasonable.
staples from them, I think.
But the departments
Those are
that
Hello
can,
Kitty.
the departments that do have a budget,
Yeah.
perhaps can chip in on that and not
Yeah.
just come out of the planning board?
Maybe the assessor's office has a little to kick in too.
Yeah.
They did last time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going around with
Yeah.
the hat.
Go around with the cup, yeah.
Did Mr. Larry get out? Is Mr. Larry Graham all done?
I believe Mr. Larry Graham is as done as he's gonna be for the
Push
night.
back and
You just
then-
push it back.
Thank
You're
you,
looking
Larry.
for some kind of a tacit approval to spend 4K or?
Well, now you know when I come asking for an expense that what it's gonna be used for, and that monies will be coming from other departments to help fund it, so.
Understood. Any objections to that? I didn't think there
No,
would
but
be,
you-
it's common sense.
But you have time to do that. I mean, I'm thinking they probably already got the money that is extra already spent
This isn't for next year, this is.
right now.
Yeah,
But they already are doing that. They're collecting their free cash by what's in excess of each
no, they're
budget.
not. They don't get to take money that's sitting in the planning board office budget.
Well, you
Until the year is done.
Right, and then
Yeah.
they take it back.
They may,
Everybody
Was
does,
already appropriated
everybody
the last
is,
time.
I mean, Staples and WB Mason is by the truckloads the last week before things roll over, because everyone's, it's suspended or lose it.
Well,
Yeah.
I too have, how much did you say, 8,000?
Between 4 and 5
4 and 5. Oh.
total.
total.
I too have something that I wanted to suggest for that.
For what?
Maybe for.
An expense?
An expense, but I think that, we really need a consultant firm to go over our subdivision and any other bylaws we have in the books to update them to the storm drain requirements as well as LID and consolidate them so that we don't have one that's updated and not the other one that's gonna coincide with it. And a place like, what is it, Horsley Witten, is it? over-
Horsley Witten.
Horsley Whitman. I think if we had somebody coming from a firm like that to come and give us a few minutes to talk about what they could do for us into consolidating what we have and recommending improvements, you know, areas that need updating.
To our subdivision regs?
Yeah. And how I got into this is because I was reading the earth removal and bylaw. It's a code bylaw, it's not a zoning one. And I was floored when I read the whole thing. And it has, you know, I had the old book, 1965, this bylaw was enacted.
Mhm.
And it was enacted because there was so much excavating going on in town for Logan Airport. And people were just leaving holes or filling them in with whatever. And what I think has happened is 2001, there was an update. Were you around on the board in 2001?
No.
No?
Well,
Anyway,
49 wouldn't have anything to do.
they
Chapter
did,
49
they did
wouldn't
some
have
more
anything to do with planning.
changes, but however, they made it more easier to read, where subdivisions aren't included in this, and site approval isn't included in this, and
Maybe
a
exemptions.
few other things, and then they also have a tonnage requirement, how much is going in and out. And there's a permit that's required, and the planning board is responsible for approval. And the one sentence was the first part of it that I was floored for, that it just doesn't apply to public use. So, in other words, we have to, in a sense, enforce this bylaw, but the town doesn't have to follow it. And what we've run into recently, is just that
Well,
the town has had a problem and nobody else seems to have the problem. So,
well, it's very, very common that public use is pretty much exempt from a lot of things.
well,
I
I
mean,
don't agree with it.
It's
In
presumed that
fact,
there's a greater public good
But
for many, many public projects.
I would say that's not necessarily the case. And I think that the bigger picture that Tilly's bringing up is something that this board needs to talk about in terms of long-range planning. And I don't know what the best way to do that is in terms of having a meeting where that's the agenda item, because it's a big ticket item. You know, I'm not sure, but I think it's something that should go on one of these agendas to at least give us at some meeting coming up, 15 minutes to talk about strategically planning the future, what we're gonna do with these ordinances and whatnot, not solving them, not coming up with the plan, but just starting to pick away at this.
right.
Cause you're right, the towns are exempt from everything that we have private developers doing, and, I can't think of one town project that hasn't come back and bid it.
And when are we gonna wake up, you know?
When are we gonna wake up?
That's what I was,
Yeah.
I think you got the message. I had asked you to do a copy for everybody so that they would know what I'm talking about, the bylaw.
Right.
Yeah, that would be great if you can have time to
I'm
read
giving a
it.
copy out of chapter 49, but everybody already has a copy of it.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone has
Do
a
you have a
copy of the
copy of that?
subdivision regs and the bylaws.
this is the code, though.
Probably.
This is not a
The subdivision regs, I have that. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
I'm also, I've
Great. If there's
I
no
just wanna go back to the second item of the planning office. We received some feedback back from town council this is under annual town meeting update, and he's made a couple of recommendations, one of which is,
Do we have copies of those?
yes,
Great.
recommendation is for the solar bylaw not to go and be voted upon at town meeting, and instead, it needs some more work.
Town council, this is,
That doesn't surprise me.
town council is suggesting that we pass it over?
Yeah,
Understood.
from the floor.
From the floor. Anything else?
Because we're passing it over on the floor, we will also need to make a motion from the floor to not include the wind and this, or the solar on the use schedule changes.
Mhm.
We're not even doing wind, so.
Hmm. So maybe we should pass that over too?
Yeah.
I mean, this is part of the discussion, they're all related of, you know, you need experts to be writing that stuff.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Oh,
know,
sure.
And that costs money.
You know, we spent so much time way down in the weeds discussing how far, what the setback should be. And to me, it's very frustrating. We spent a lot of time, a lot of thought, and, oh, we're gonna pass it over now.
Well, the most
No,
frustrating
it's not
thing
like
is that.
It's the fact
No, but
that you got down to such too precise on a solar bylaw. And what I wrote was duplicative, so you would know that I don't want it here, it's over here, that's where I like it. If you wanna get into a consultant doing this, not only are you gonna have to pay the price, but you're gonna have to be comfortable with an outside company explaining to you what your bylaw needs to be.
Well, let me clarify something with Howard's just saying. And when I say expert and consultant, I'm talking about him.
Okay.
I'm talking about, I mean, he is the paid, and he's the paid town planner. And part of his job description could include some of this work.
It does.
Yeah,
But
you
then-
did a tremendous, I thought you
but-
did a
but-
great
but-
job.
but-
I think so, too. I think the board did very well, too. I think.
But what I see happening in the little bit of time that I've been here is that the board starts taking it over and starts taking, what Howard has put together. And that's not to say out of 10 questions that the board has about something that Howard has put together, you know, that some of those questions are perfectly legitimate and worth discussing. But it's almost as if the board ends up taking it and turns it into their own document and starts getting into these individual minutia when it had already been addressed by a professional trained in that arena. So, you know, part of the long-term planning of all of us is I personally, for myself, I see Howard playing a much bigger role with this board than I've witnessed in the past. Because I don't think you wanna go out and hire a consultant, and, I mean, that's part of the big picture, you know, Howard has only
Well,
so
are
many
you
hours.
referring to the solar bylaw, or are you referring to the
In,
regs?
in general,
Oh.
in general, you know,
Because
in-
just getting to
in
the solar
general.
bylaw, as far as
in general.
I can tell, I look at it as though we've had our professional create, the board's approved. Now, instead of town council saying, hey, you should pass it over, town council should be saying, cross this out, add this, eliminate that, add this, modify it from the floor. So,
Well,
I think town council's
I
kinda
think-
like falling on their face here,
Well, I think town
saying
council.
pass it over. That's kinda wimpy.
Well,
You
I
have
think-
plenty of time, change it, make the changes,
Well, they're not
submit it from the
experts,
floor.
they're not the experts to
Well,
write about
they're
this.
lawyers.
That's right, they're lawyers, they're not solar, experts.
Well, that's not, I don't think that's what they would be commenting on.
Well, then
They would be
why are they
commenting
telling
on
us
I'm,
to
Howard,
I'm
pass it
responding,
over?
well, I think what they're saying, and Howard, you know, get in, I think what they're saying is that what they read doesn't stand up to basic, I'm not sure what the word is to use.
My understanding
Documentation
from
of it.
legal counsel was they couldn't take this to the point where it could be changed on the floor. That it was too thick. And so you need to cull this out a little bit, and then there can be some things that can be adjusted from the floor.
Well, what are they suggesting? What
They're
changes
telling
would
you-
they make?
They're telling you.
Well,
This
ha-
one, for instance, this is the one that hit me right off, was the statute does not differentiate between residential and commercial solar uses. This is one of the reasons I didn't vote for it, because and the other reason, the next one he has is duplication, inconsistencies, overlap. I mean, those are too much to go to town meeting with.
I get it. But the next step to this shouldn't just be, oh, pass it over. It should be, pass it over for now, and in 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, we will be sending you, KMP will be sending you, the town of Georgetown, the revised version. We've done our due diligence.
And I think that we did differentiate between commercial and
Yeah,
residential.
I agree.
Explicitly.
I think we
Right.
did, and I think what you have here is, well, the rush that happens right before town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, that's another part of
Yeah.
the planning, you know, the board, I would think it would be nice to have a plan for, you know, you don't put this stuff off until the end, and you have a long-range plan for how the
Well,
board's gonna.
unfortunately, the review of it's put off until the very end.
We've only had
By-
three.
by town council,
Three,
and-
was it three
Well-
discussions on it at a planning board?
Yeah,
Only three, and this is a big, big project.
it is a big project.
It probably should have been a subcommittee first, and then we rehash it all at that time, and then present it to the board, you know? And maybe that would have been quicker.
There's more than 3 meetings on the solar.
Yeah, there was a few.
But to your point, Rob, I've got a running Excel spreadsheet. Every time there's something that comes up during a meeting, a concern on this regulation or concern on that bylaw, it goes on the list.
Yeah.
And there's lot frontage has been a concern of yours. There's been the parking. There's all those other things. So it's if it's to have a meeting and say, okay, planning board, here's the list. What's the chunk that you want to take? Then you stay focused on that. And you can do that for a special town meeting, and then, okay, let's prepare for the next one. That's the chunk we're going to take out. But it's a running list.
Yeah, and it
So-
always will be.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I'm just gonna throw out there that the board has a meeting at some point in time in the not too distant future, not tomorrow, not immediately, but, you know, in the not too distant future, where we just have a discussion about, you know, the organization of this board and what the goals are going to be for the year coming up and what the 5-year goal's gonna be for what this board wants to do, and just get the big picture, that everything comes understood and agreed upon, and then start to develop a plan, and then get, you know, I think a meeting like that would be really helpful for the board. It would be for me.
Right.
I agree, it would be a help for everybody, I think, you know, and Bob, we've got a new member here, we're gonna let him know.
No, but, you know, the fact is, when I'm in these meetings, you folks who have had a lot of experience, you're asking questions that I don't, they're in topics that I don't really, is that a topic? Oh, okay.
Takes time, takes
And
time.
why that's a topic and this
Yeah,
isn't a
it is.
topic, I don't know.
Takes
And
time.
you
Comes
know
with
what happens?
experience,
It comes
and-
with experience, and everybody, I think also, all of it will start to, what will happen is you're gonna start to find something that starts to resonate for you, and you start to become interested in it, you become a mini expert in it, and next thing you know, it seems like everybody on the board has a certain strength, and the more we're diversified in those strengths, the better the board is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
That makes
The other thing is you're gonna go through the process, you've gotta start from where it's a piece of paper with an applicant walking in to where you're years later. It's the reason it's a 5-year board term. You're gonna see some people moving into these houses, and you're gonna look and you're gonna say, wow, we really dropped the ball there, we screwed up on that. That should have been something that we took care of. And we'll learn, and you develop your decisions, and you'll evolve
so
your
much of that is-
understanding.
is like knowing where the boundaries are. I ironically, talking about the boundaries of Turning Leaf, that, what did you call it?
For example?
The flag, that weird shape.
Oddly shaped lots, and we're, watch out now, cause we're.
Yes, that's right.
No,
Yeah,
no, but
we're-
no,
we're-
that,
we're
that's,
getting it.
that's
We're not ta- you're
I'm not
talking
talking about that
any
particular
subdivision
thing.
with an oddly
What's
shaped
the
lot.
What's the limit of what we can, approve or disapprove? Can we say, I don't like the shape of that lot?
You
Change it.
And that's really important to understand. That's where it's what we think is the right thing to do versus enforcing what the ordinance says.
Well, you've made that point many times, Harry, that, the bylaws are the bylaws, and you gotta be careful about approving changes to the bylaws, because you're gonna live with it, and everybody in the town is
You
gonna.
have to watch out.
Yeah, bylaws are it.
Yeah, you change them. Well, it's fascinating discussion as it is 10 or 10 past 10. Um,
Well, do you-
Rob will certainly look at what you're talking about, that organizational, that big picture. I don't think it's gonna happen for a couple of meetings, but
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure
sure.
we will have
I'm sure.
Do you
a
want me to
meeting.
inquire about the PRC? I understand that they would come out for free.
Who is this?
Horsley Witten.
They come out for free? Horsley
They
Witten
would come
Consulting.
out, that's what I was told, they would come out, cause I've been talking to
To do what?
Merrimack Valley, I've been talking to the DEP, how to go about this, and, what they had suggested, for Merrimack Valley, cause they do a lot of, work for Merrimack Valley, Horsley Witten.
Okay.
And, that they would come, you know, they're pretty sure that somebody would come out and just talk about what they can do for us. And.
Oh, right, but not
and-
actually do anything for us.
No, they would tell you how to go about it and what you need, what you would,
Maybe what the holes are.
you know, give them a 15-minute talk or 20-minute talk or something, and I
Well, we
think,
could probably squeeze that into a meeting.
yeah, I think that might be
We
the
can
way to
do it
go.
and have them coordinate with Howard, and Howard will figure
Yeah.
out where to put that and at a good meeting.
The one additional thing I did wanna mention, organizationally, is the point that citizen made about communication between the boards,
Mhm.
I think that's a very powerful, comment.
Couldn't agree more.
And, you know, we have technology now that should allow us to access information across the boards.
We have a permit program where when everything gets logged in, especially starting with the building department, everybody gets a chance to track their comments if there's an open item or if the item's been closed. Every time there's a permit that comes in, all the town departments are coordinated.
That
I
makes a
can't
lot
run
of-
around and keep pleading for highway to weigh in on certain things, but,
Understood, but.
you know, I engaged, the fire and police on specifically.
Organizationally, if we're doing our own thing organizationally, and these guys are doing their own thing, and those guys are doing their own thing, we're gonna be in the same situation that we're in now forever.
Well, and for what it's worth, the current form, the fundamental problem, this is just in my opinion, the fundamental challenge that this town has is the current form of government. Many people disagree, but there are a lot of people that also agree. And right now, there is no one point where everything kind of goes to. Every town department operates in its own room. And they really, in that fundamental makeup, until that changes, where you have either a strong town manager or you have a different form of the current government that has certain power. People don't wanna give it up, they're afraid to.
Sure.
But nothing's gonna change. We can have all the best communication in the world that Howard's talking about, but he can't chase people to get the information. I mean,
Right, but you don't also wanna become a city either. I mean, you
No,
can
you-
change your government that way. You can have a strong town manager, or you can
Yeah.
have a strong town administrator.
Yeah.
But all you're really gonna end up with is a mayor for hire.
Well,
And that's
at
what-
some
that's the
point.
model you're
Well, the
moving
underlying-
towards.
the
But
You're
at some,
stepping in that direction.
but and at some point, a town outgrows its previous form of government, and this town has outgrown its size requires a different type. Harry, all you gotta do is look at
The
every single
complexity
project
of
that
the-
happens.
the
Look at all the
complexity of the
public
21st
projects.
century.
Every single one
Yeah.
comes back and bites the town in the ass. Every single one.
Well,
And
I
I know
don't
when
think that
things
has
were-
anything to do with the form of government.
It's
I
exactly
think
has to
that-
do with the form of government.
What that has to do with is the fact that there are exemptions under state law.
No.
No?
No,
They're called
that's.
40A exemptions for
Yeah,
a reason.
No, but then if you have all the towns working together, you can write your own bylaws and you can create a scenario where those exemptions don't happen. You can change
I
that.
don't think you're gonna override state law by writing a bylaw, but we can
State
disagree.
law allows, this is great discussion.
This is great
This is
discussion.
great discussion.
But I gotta
Let's
go
call
home.
it quits.
Yeah, well, let's move
we
this to the
adjourn.
bar.
Please remember to
Motion to
sign the
adjourn.
A&R.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor, motion carries unanimously. Meeting adjourned at 10:15.